Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales. Chapter 55-54. Su Feibai's expression changed on the spot. After he transformed into a divine dragon, a look of shock appeared in his eyes. He could still fight against an 8th-level transcendent god. However, if a 9th-level transcendent god was added to the mix, he would not be able to fight against it. "Let's go!" He bellowed and immediately turned around without thinking. He would never do something he was not confident in. This was also the reason why he was able to live to this day. He was cautious enough. However, the others did not expect him to turn around. By the time everyone came to their senses, Su Feibai, who had transformed into a pentagonal mysterious ice divine dragon, had already flown behind them. Yu Tianchang, Gu Yusheng, and Feng Ligei could only retreat with him. However, the speed at which they retreated was a little slow. After all, their cultivation realms were not as high as the other dragon martial artists around them. They were also lacking in terms of body movements and dragon techniques. The other dragon martial artists were all extremely experienced Grade 8 disciples. These Grade 8 disciples had been cultivating various dragon techniques for at least a few decades. Whether it was body movements or defensive dragon techniques, they had sufficient attainments. They were unlike Yu Tianchang and the other two girls, who had just stepped into the super divine dragon realm not long ago. Their cultivation of the super divine dragon technique was definitely lagging behind. Under Su Feibai's leadership, everyone quickly retreated. However, the two demonic creatures quickly chased after them, one in front and one behind. Yu Tianchang and the other two girls were at the very back. Naturally, they were not as fast as the two demonic creatures. After all, the two demonic creatures were in the 8th and 9th level of the Supreme God realm. How could they possibly escape from them? Damn it! Yu Tianchang's heart sank. It was not that she had not expected that she would encounter danger. Since she had chosen to come to the Dragon Martial Continent to provide support, she had naturally expected that there might be danger. However, she had never thought that she would encounter danger under such circumstances. Generally speaking, this kind of group operation would naturally be the strong fighting the strong. Yu Tianchang and the other two girls would be responsible for dealing with some of the weaker demonic creatures. However, who would have thought that Su Feibai and the others would retreat without a second thought? That was only a 9th-level transcendent god realm demonic creature. If everyone joined forces, they might not necessarily be a match for him. At the very least, Su Feibai himself was an existence that was about to break through to the 9th tier of the super mystical dragon realm. Unexpectedly, they saw that monster fleeing directly in front of everyone. It was simply breathtaking. "Let's split up." Yu Tianchang turned around and said to Feng Ligei and Gu Yusheng. If they continued to run like this, they would definitely be caught by the two demonic beasts. With their combat strength, once they were caught by the two demonic beasts, only death awaited them. Gu Yusheng and Feng Ligei both transformed into their slender divine dragon forms and nodded at his words. Then, they flew off in different directions. Then, the two monsters seemed to hesitate about who to chase. But soon, they chose to go after Yu Tianchang, who was in the middle. The two demonic creatures naturally wanted to kill as many dragon martialists as possible. Therefore, as long as Yu Tianchang and the others caught up, they could continue to pursue Su Feibai and the others. There was no doubt that Yu Tianchang was now in the most dangerous situation. "Feibai, are you really not going to save them?" Su Feibai, who was flying at the forefront, was followed by a divine dragon martialist of the wind element. He caught up with him and asked in a deep voice. "How?" Su Feibai immediately sneered, and a ruthless look appeared in his divine dragon eyes. "If there is only one 8th tier supreme divine beast, I will naturally take action. Now that there is a 9th tier supreme divine beast, once I get involved in the battle, I'm afraid I won't be able to escape. What if an even stronger monster appears? When that time comes, we will definitely be wiped out. Hearing Su Feibai's words, the divine dragon martialist of the wind element didn't say anything else. However, when everyone looked at Yu Tianchang, who was lagging behind, they all felt that it was a pity. Obviously, they usually treated Yu Tianchang very well. After all, Yu Tianchang was related to Yu Yaji. Both of them were extremely beautiful and talented. In time, they would definitely become grade 9 disciples of the Holy Land of Five Extremes Mysterious Ice, and they might even achieve supreme positions. But that was only a possibility. The possibility wasn't high. Right now, Yu Tianchang's combat strength was too weak, and she was basically regarded as a little junior sister. Under the current circumstances, it didn't seem to be a problem for Su Feibai to make such a decision. After all, by sacrificing Yu Tianchang, the others would be very safe. But such an action really made people feel a little bitterly disappointed. Of course, this world respected the strong. If Su Feibai didn't go to fight against the 9th-tier Supreme Divine Beast, it was even more impossible for the others to go. They could only fly away as fast as they could. At this moment, suddenly, a pitch-black divine dragon appeared in front of everyone. Many of the divine dragon martialist disciples recognized this figure. They all looked familiar. It's actually that Kong Shinmu. Everyone's expression became strange. They basically recognized Kong Shinmu's identity. I didn't expect this kid to actually come back. I thought he would stay in the great world of the demon god race and not come back. Su Feibai smiled disdainfully. However, he's from our holy land after all. It's better not to send him to his death. The Wind Attribute Divine Dragon Martialist said, then flew forward towards Kong Shinmu. He shouted from afar, "There's a pinnacle Supreme Divine Beast ahead. All of you, retreat." He saw a delicate girl sitting on the neck of the pitch-black divine dragon that Kong Shinmu had transformed into. He was very unfamiliar with the girl, but he could roughly guess that she should be the little princess of the Su royal family from the great world of the demon god race. Therefore, he didn't want anything to happen to Kong Shinmu here. If something happened to the little princess of the demon god race here, it would be a huge matter. All of you, retreat. Kong Shinmu and Su Yi watched the Wind Attribute Divine Dragon fly over and shouted. They couldn't help but become focused. Someone's been left alone? Kong Shinmu originally didn't intend to retreat, especially when he soon discovered that behind the group of divine dragon martialists in front of him, there was a familiar figure of a divine dragon martialist who was left alone. It was Yu Tianchang. She was actually alone, struggling to keep up with everyone at the back. And behind Yu Tianchang, there were two demonic beasts that were close to the pinnacle Supreme Divine Beast level, and they were getting closer and closer to her. What was going on? Kong Shinmu's expression suddenly changed. These divine dragon martialists in front of him actually didn't help Yu Tianchang. Chapter 55-55. What's wrong with these dragon martial artists? They let the younger generation of their holy land attract the monsters, but they don't help. Are they just going to watch her get killed? Su Yi was a little indignant. Let's go. Jiang Shenwu didn't even think about it. He simply ignored the Wind Attribute Divine Dragon Warrior. With a flick of his tail, his pitch-black divine dragon body quickly flew towards Yu Tianchang. He was much faster than before. After all, he was trying to save someone. What are you doing? The Wind Attribute Divine Dragon was taken aback. Even Su Feibai and the other dragon martial artists were puzzled. What was this guy planning to do? They could all feel that Kong Shinmu's current divine dragon cultivation was only at the 4th level of Supreme God Realm. With such strength, he was only slightly stronger than Yu Tianchang. How dare he go to save Yu Tianchang? He's overestimating himself. Since he wants to go, let him go. Su Feibai sneered and said coldly, even if something really happens, it has nothing to do with us. Just ignore them. Feibai, it's not appropriate. The wind attribute divine dragon said in a deep voice, after all, they are important. If something happens to them, we won't have a good time either. We still have to help. Humph. Su Feibai snorted unhappily. He really did not intend to help Kong Shinmu, but he felt that if he did not help Kong Shinmu, he would really be responsible if something happened to Kong Shinmu and Sui. At this moment, Kong Shinmu had already flown in front of Yu Tianchong with Sui. Kong Shinmu? Let's go. Yu Tianchong did not have time to say anything. When she saw Kong Shinmu coming, her first reaction was to ask him to leave first. After all, in her opinion, Kong Shinmu was not much stronger than her. At the very least, it was impossible for him to survive in the face of a peak Supreme God realm monster. However, at this moment, Jiang Shenwu was eager to give it a try. He had just broken through to the next level, and to him, now was the time when he needed a sufficiently powerful opponent to consolidate his strength. The 9th-tier transcendent god demonic creature in front of him was just right. Don't worry, you go first, I can handle it. After saying that, Kong Shinmu let Sui stay with Yu Tianchong first. Then, he turned around and rushed towards the two powerful monsters that were close to the peak of Supreme God realm. The two demonic creatures were shrouded in a pitch-black demonic aura. The terrifying energy formed waves that spread out in all directions. Seeing that the black dragon Kong Shinmu had transformed into actually dared to rush over, the two demonic creatures immediately erupted with demonic aura. Waves of demonic aura swept towards Kong Shinmu. Humph. At this moment, Su Feibai's 5 Extremes Dark Ice Dragon and the 9th-ranked disciple Pu Tianhua, who had transformed into a Wind Divine Dragon, also swept over along with Kong Shinmu's Black Dragon body. We'll do our best to save your life. Let's leave now. Su Feibai sneered. The 5 Extremes Dark Ice Divine Dragon's body was surrounded by boundless ice power, condensing into a layer of ice barrier that blocked in front of Kong Shinmu. Seeing this, Kong Shinmu frowned slightly. He had originally wanted to train with these two demonic creatures and familiarize himself with his current strength. In the end, he did not expect that Su Feibai and Pu Tianhua would actually turn around and protect him. Kong Shinmu could roughly understand the reason, who asked his identity to be so special. He had even brought along Sui, the little princess of the demon god race. If anything were to happen, Su Feibai and the others would not be able to bear the consequences. But this made Kong Shinmu feel somewhat disdainful. Just now, when Yu Tianchong was being chased, none of them moved. Now, seeing that he and Sui were going to fight the demonic creatures, they turned around to fight the demonic creatures. It was as if they were deliberately trying to kill Yu Tianchong. Of course, Kong Shinmu knew that these people were from the 5 Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land, after all. It was unlikely that they were trying to kill Yu Tianchong. It could only be said that these people might not be confident in dealing with the peak Supreme God-level demonic creatures. Or perhaps they were worried that more such demonic creatures would appear, so they chose to temporarily retreat. But in Kong Shinmu's opinion, these people were too greedy. They were simply bullying the weak and fearing the strong. They did not save Yu Tianchong and the others, but instead came to save Kong Shinmu. Did Kong Shinmu need them to save him? Of course, now Su Feibai and Pu Tianhua were facing off against a supreme god-level demonic creature. Pu Tianhua was fighting against an 8th-tier supreme god-level demonic creature. As for the demonic creature that was close to the peak supreme god level, it was blocked by Su Feibai. Under the power of the 5 Extremes Dark Ice, the demonic creature was blocked. Now that things had come to this, Kong Shinmu could not intervene. He could only fly back to Yu Tianchong's side. What's going on with them? Sui stood on the slender neck of Yu Tianchong's divine dragon body and said angrily. Of course, she knew that with Kang Shinmu's current strength, it would be easy for him to deal with a peak supreme god-level demonic creature. Yet, Su Feibai actually said that he had reluctantly come to save Kang Shinmu's life. What a shameless boast. Especially for Yu Tianchang, how ironic was this? Thank you very much. Yu Tianchang stopped and breathed a sigh of relief. Her expression was somewhat complicated. She thanked Kang Shinmu in a low voice, expressing her gratitude for Kang Shinmu's courage. In her opinion, Kang Shinmu was still no match for the two demonic creatures. Kang Shinmu's actions just now were probably to force Su Feibai and Pu Tianhua to hold back the two demonic creatures. It's fine. Why did they leave you behind? Kang Shinmu could not help but ask. Not just me, but also Li Gu, Yu Sheng, and the others. Yu Tianchang shook her head with a wry smile. Actually, we weren't really left behind. Our cultivation is relatively low, and our speed is relatively slow. There's nothing we can do if we can't catch up with them. As for their retreat just now, it's probably because they're afraid of attracting more demonic creatures. If that happens, we'll probably all be wiped out. She had heard some of the discussion just now. Although she felt it was sad, there was nothing she could do about it. Who asked her to be so weak? I'll tell my master when I get back. Kang Shinmu said. In his opinion, this kind of behavior was ridiculous and completely unreasonable. They were all disciples of the same holy land, and they were fellow disciples. Yet, they abandoned whoever they wanted just because they were afraid of attracting more demonic creatures? Most importantly, now that Kang Shinmu and Su Yi had come, Su Feibai and Pu Tianhua had actually returned to deal with the two demonic creatures. These people were truly laughable. In any case, Kang Shinmu could not understand their mentality. At this time, Su Feibai and Pu Tianhua had already suppressed their respective opponents. Chapter 55-56. As for Su Feibai, he seemed to be struggling. After all, his cultivation was only at the 8th level of the transcendent god realm. Although he was about to break through to the 9th level, there was still a gap between him and a real 9th level demonic creature. Of course, with his rich experience and the various transcendent divine dragon martial techniques that he had fully comprehended, he could fight the demonic creature to a draw. He was waiting. He was waiting for Pu Tianhua to kill the 8th level demonic creature and then help him. That way, they could work together to kill the pinnacle 9th level demonic creature. From this point of view, Su Feibai's worries weren't unreasonable. If they were to be entangled near the crevice of the demonic chi, they wouldn't be a match for even one peak stage transcendent god realm demonic beast. Soon after, Gu Yusheng and Feng Ligay seemed to have also sensed the fluctuations of the battle, so they quickly returned and met up with Yu Tianchang. The disciples of the Holy Land of Five Extremes Mysterious Ice, who had fled with Su Feibai and Pu Tianhua, also returned. Kang Shinmu, I didn't expect you to think of such a way to force senior brother Feibai to help you block the demonic creature. You're really scheming. A female disciple of the Holy Land of Five Extremes Mysterious Ice, who was at the 7th level of the transcendent god realm, sneered and looked at Kang Shinmu. She had been pursuing Su Feibai all this time and was his loyal supporter. Now, she naturally stood on Su Feibai's side. Seeing Su Feibai fight with the pinnacle supreme god demonic creature, she could not help but feel a little distressed. Senior brother Feibai is too nice. If it were me, I wouldn't care about you at all and let you fend for yourselves. The female disciple sneered and said. Kang Shinmu listened at the side and did not say anything. Su Yi could not stand it anymore and snorted coldly. Nice? You abandoned your junior sister in the Holy Land and even watched her get caught up by the demonic creature. You call that nice? The female disciple looked at Su Yi and was a little angry. You're the little princess of the demon god race? Humph, what a joke. Do you think that with your status, you can teach a disciple of my 5 extreme profound ice holy land a lesson? Let me tell you, if it wasn't for senior brother Fei by helping you stop the demons, you would have already died in the hands of the demons. Do you understand? I didn't expect that. Not only are you not grateful, you even have a problem with senior brother Fei Bai? What a joke. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding disciples of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land all cried out in alarm as they looked in the direction of the demonic creature. Oh no! Another supreme god pinnacle level demon has come. Senior brother Su is in danger. Everyone's expression changed drastically. Right now, Su Fei Bai was still fighting against the first supreme god pinnacle stage demonic being. It seemed like neither of them could do anything to the other. Originally, he was waiting for Pu Tianhua's support. But now, before Pu Tianhua could get rid of his opponent, a second peak stage supreme god berserk demonic creature had appeared. Moreover, this second supreme god level 9 demonic creature was a true supreme god peak existence. Compared to the demonic creature that Su Fei Bai was fighting, it was a level stronger. This was something that everyone could see. What should we do? I didn't expect an even stronger demonic creature to appear. We're finished. Quick, call the elders for backup. The elders are very far away from here. It's too late to call for backup now. Everyone's expression changed drastically. Did you see that? It's all your fault. If you didn't insist on provoking that demonic creature, senior brother Fei Bai wouldn't have put himself in danger to save you. The 7th stage supreme god holy land female disciple said with a pale face. Immediately, following her words, the surrounding disciples of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land started to blame Kong Xinmu and Su Yi. Shut up. Kong Xinmu looked around and shouted, causing all the disciples to shut their mouths. Why? You did something wrong, yet you're yelling at us? Who do you think you are? Why did Emperor Shi accept such a rude disciple like you? Don't you know what's good for you? The female disciple said sternly. I told you to shut up, so shut up. Don't you understand? Kong Xinmu sneered. From the beginning to the end, did I ask you to come and help? Didn't Su Fei Bai return on his own accord because he was afraid that something would happen to me and Yi? All of you, scram. He raised his hand, and a wave of devouring power and demonic aura exploded, causing the group of 5 extreme dark ice holy land disciples to retreat far away. Not only did these people escape in the face of danger, but they also didn't help Su Fei Bai when he was fighting. They only knew how to make sarcastic remarks behind his back. Kong Xinmu naturally wouldn't give them any face. When the stronger peak supreme god berserk demonic creature appeared, Kong Xinmu was already prepared to make a move. All of you, be careful. Don't get caught up in the battle. After saying that, Kong Xinmu flew directly towards the berserk demonic creature. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Yu Tianchang and the other 2 girls didn't expect Kong Xinmu to take the initiative to fight. In their opinion, Kong Xinmu definitely wasn't a match for that berserk demonic creature. As for the dragon warrior disciples of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land who had just been repelled by the demonic aura, they all had ugly expressions on their faces. One had to know that Kong Xinmu was clearly only at the 4th level of the supreme god realm, yet he was able to repel all of them with a burst of demonic aura. What kind of power was that? Was this person really as rumored? Did he have battle prowess that far exceeded his current cultivation level? But so what? This kid overestimates himself. No matter how much of a genius he is, it's impossible for him to fight against a peak supreme god realm demonic creature. That's right. I think he's just trying to look impressive, many people whispered to each other. Su Yi immediately sneered at them. All of you, shut up. If you have the ability, go deal with the demonic creature yourself. Don't point at us and make fun of us. I didn't expect the dignified disciples of the Five Extreme Dark Ice Holy Land to be such a bunch of cowards. And they're cowards who can't tell right from wrong. Her identity was special, so she could scold them as she pleased. The other party wouldn't dare to do anything to her. In everyone's eyes, the pitch-black divine dragon that Kang Shinmu had transformed into finally clashed with the berserk demonic creature that was at the peak supreme god realm. Waves of berserk power spread out in all directions and instantly exploded. As soon as the two sides collided, a shocking commotion erupted. It was much more terrifying than the battle scene on Su Feibai's side. One had to know that Su Feibai was just stalling for time at the beginning, waiting for Pu Tianhua to defeat his opponent and come over to help. Therefore, he didn't use much power and only focused on defense. This way, he could preserve his power to the greatest extent. But now. Chapter 55-57. When Kang Shinmu made his move and fought to a draw with the berserk demonic creature. Everyone in the surroundings was shocked. They had never expected that Kang Shinmu would be able to fight to a draw with a berserk demonic creature at the peak of the supreme god realm. How is this possible? Isn't he only at the 4th tier of the supreme god realm? That's right. A 4th tier transcendent god fighting against a 9th tier transcendent god. This is impossible. Perhaps he has Emperor Shi's treasure. With that treasure, it wouldn't be surprising for him to be able to fight against a peak transcendent god. The disciples of the Five Extremes Mysterious Ice Holy Land quickly thought of this. After all, Kang Shinmu was a disciple of Emperor Shi. If Emperor Shi gave him some treasures, such as a 6th or 7th level heaven and earth sacred treasure, and all of them were unsealed, then fighting against a peak transcendent god would be nothing. They would even feel that it was reasonable to kill this berserk demonic creature at the peak of the supreme god realm. At this very moment, Su Feibai's mental state had already collapsed. He did not expect Kang Shinmu to have such strength. Just the fierce attack that he had just used to fight against the berserk demonic creature at the peak of the supreme god realm had already surpassed his strongest power. What was going on? Indeed, as the successor of the Five Extremes Mysterious Ice Holy Land, Su Feibai had the bloodline of the Five Extremes Mysterious Ice Divine Dragon flowing in his body. He was truly proficient in ice-type attacks. His control method was extremely strong. In terms of attack power, he was indeed inferior. However, that was only when they were at the same cultivation realm. If he was facing an ordinary dragon warrior at the 4th tier of the supreme god realm, Su Feibai would be able to kill him with a single move. But now, Kang Shinmu was clearly only at the 4th tier of the supreme god realm. Moreover, Su Feibai could clearly see that he was very close. It was obvious that Kang Shinmu did not use any powerful heaven and earth sacred treasure. At most, he had only used his own transcendent divine dragon weapon. This caused Su Feibai's expression to turn ugly. Could it be that Kang Shinmu could really defeat that berserk demonic creature at the peak of the supreme god realm? If that was the case, wouldn't he be making a fool of himself? Kang Shinmu had taken the initiative to rescue Yu Tianchang and the others, but in the end, they were worried that Kang Shinmu would come to confront the devil instead. That was not all. After that, the disciples of the Five Extremes Mysterious Ice Holy Land even looked down on Kang Shinmu and verbally abused him. If Kang Shinmu really didn't have that kind of strength, then so be it. But now, Kang Shinmu seemed to be very strong. If he could really defeat that berserk devil, wouldn't that mean that he, Su Feibai, was thinking too highly of himself and meddling in other people's business? It was extremely stupid. No. Su Feibai thought for a moment and immediately made a decision. He was going to help Kang Shinmu. His Pentapex Dark Ice Divine Dragon form forcibly broke away from the battle, then turned and flew towards Kang Shinmu. Junior brother, let me help you. He transformed into a divine dragon, and his ice power sprayed out like a meteor, sweeping towards that berserk devil. Kang Shinmu didn't expect this guy to help him, but he didn't care. Extreme Destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul. 33 Heavens Divine Feathers. Kang Shinmu used the Extreme Destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul and erupted with the power of the 33 Heavens Divine Feathers. 9 layers of the Extreme Destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul instantly erupted. In just an instant, that Berserk Devil first suffered a heavy blow from Kang Shinmu's 9 layers of the Extreme Destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul, and its whole body was enveloped by the pitch-black innate ability of devouring. Then, Su Fei Bai's ice power swept over. The Berserk Devil was directly pushed back several thousand feet. Kang Shinmu naturally wouldn't let go of this good opportunity. He directly chased after it, and the Extreme Destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul, a super divine dragon martial technique that had been cultivated to the peak, erupted. 10 layers. 11 layers. 12 layers. As the effect of the 33 Heavens Divine Feathers became stronger, Kang Shinmu's Extreme Destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul attacks also became stronger and stronger, attacking the Berserk Devil one after another. Just now, his pitch-black devouring power had already enveloped the entire body of the Berserk Devil, and the Berserk Devil kept struggling. It tried to break through the encirclement of Kang Shinmu's devouring power. But how could Kang Shinmu give it a chance? Devouring, continuous attacks. Kang Shinmu continuously devoured the opponent's power, condensed it into a ball, and counterattacked again. After being enhanced by the formless weapon Chen Xing's super offensive battle runes, it landed on the body of the Berserk Devil. Even if it was a terrifying 9th-level Transcendent God, which was close to the peak of the Transcendent God realm, it couldn't resist Kang Shinmu at all. Under Kang Shinmu's storm-like attacks, it couldn't hold on at all. In the end, it was completely killed by Kang Shinmu's Extreme Destructive Heavenly Might Dragon Soul attacks one after another. Its mighty demonic energy was all devoured by Kang Shinmu's devouring power. In a short period of time, the 9th-level Transcendent God Beast was killed by Kang Shinmu. As for Su Fei Bai, who came to help just now, he was a little shocked. He didn't expect Kang Shinmu to be so strong. He directly suppressed the Berserk Devil with a ferocious attack and completely suppressed it. So strong. Su Fei Bai couldn't help but be shocked. However, he turned around and fought with his original opponent, the level 9 Supreme God Realm demonic creature. He came over to help Kang Shinmu. However, Kang Shinmu immediately killed the Berserk Devil. Haha, this Kang Shinmu is only a so-so. It was thanks to senior brother Fei Bai's help that he was able to defeat that devil. The 7th-level Transcendent God female disciple of the 5 Extremes Mysterious Ice Holy Land finally heaved a sigh of relief. However, she didn't think that Kang Shinmu was stronger. In her opinion, the reason why the Berserk Devil was so easily killed was because of the help of her senior brother Su Fei Bai. The disciples of the 5 Extremes Mysterious Ice Holy Land couldn't see it clearly either. After all, they were too far away. In their opinion, Su Fei Bai had taken the time to help Kang Shinmu, and then Kang Shinmu had killed the opponent's Berserk Devil. In their eyes, Su Fei Bai was a supreme expert of the 8th-level Transcendent God Realm. He wasn't far from the 9th-level Transcendent God Realm. In fact, he was only one step away. Therefore, Su Fei Bai must have played the most important role in the process of killing the Berserk Devil. However, they didn't know that the truth was that Su Fei Bai had just come over and interfered. Even without him, the process of Jiang Shenwu killing that berserk demonic creature would not have been the slightest hesitation. This was the objective that Su Fei Bai wanted to achieve. At the very least, he couldn't let himself lose face. Junior brother Kang Shinmu, let's join forces and kill this devil. Su Fei Bai said to Kang Shinmu righteously. He really couldn't deal with the 9th-level Transcendent God Realm monster alone. He could barely resist its attack, but he couldn't kill it. Therefore, he wanted to ask Kang Shinmu for help. All of this was for his face. Kang Shinmu couldn't be bothered with him. Devouring the power of these devils was beneficial to him. Therefore, Kang Shinmu didn't intend to give the 9th-level Transcendent God Realm monster to others. Chapter 55-58. Kang Shinmu turned around. He didn't care about Su Feibai's divine dragon body at all. In order to maintain the power of the 33 Heavens divine plume, he attacked as fast as he could. Extreme destructive heavenly might dragon soul. Endless devouring power gathered and swept towards the 9th-tier transcendent god demonic creature. Su Feibai's 5 extremes mysterious ice divine dragon body was forced away. The devouring power that whistled across the battlefield gave him a sense of extreme danger. Then, the devouring power descended and completely drowned the 9th-tier transcendent god demonic creature. Extreme destructive heavenly might dragon soul. Kang Shinmu erupted once again. The demonic creature in front of him wasn't as strong as the violent demonic creature from before. Faced with Kang Shinmu's terrifying and fierce attack, it couldn't resist it. The demonic aura collapsed and the demonic body exploded. It was completely suppressed into waves of demonic aura that were all devoured by Kang Shinmu's devouring power. Finally, the 8th-tier transcendent god demonic creature was no longer a threat to everyone. However, when Kang Shinmu suppressed the 9th-tier transcendent god demonic creature in the end, Su Feibai turned back to defend and went to kill the 8th-tier transcendent god demonic creature with Pu Tianhua as fast as possible. I've already severely injured that demonic creature. I'll leave the rest to junior brother Kang Shinmu. This was what Su Feibai said when he left, which made Kang Shinmu scoff. This guy was too hypocritical. Su Feibai's previous battle with the demonic creature had only been to hold it back. He hadn't dealt much damage to it at all. As for the severe injuries that Su Feibai had mentioned, it was all nonsense. He had only been able to kill this demonic creature because of Kang Shinmu's strong suppression. After devouring the demonic aura of these 2 demonic creatures, his devouring power had become even more tyrannical. Moreover, he could still use the power of these 2 demonic creatures for a short period of time. After all, he had devoured all of their demonic aura and stored it in his devouring space. This was the demonic aura of a pinnacle transcendent god. Kang Shinmu's devouring power had been accumulated, and he could use it at a critical moment to directly kill a series of powerful monsters. Of course, if it was just a few scattered monsters like this, there was no need to use this power. The devouring power is so strong. Kang Shinmu could not help but think. Demonic god ancestor demonic knight sighed with emotion. That's only natural. After all, it's the power of the primal chaos heaven devouring dragon. However, this kid called Su Feibai was truly disgusting. Kang Shinmu, aren't you going to deal with this kid? They are all disciples of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land. Do you think I can kill him? Kang Shinmu felt helpless. Although he was very unhappy with Su Feibai, he really couldn't kill this guy. At this time, Su Feibai turned into a 5 extreme dark ice divine dragon and flew in front of Kang Shinmu. He laughed heartily. It seems that I have wronged junior apprentice brother Kang Shinmu. Junior apprentice brother Kang Shinmu could have blocked that level of demonic creature even if he was alone. However, to kill those 2 demonic creatures, junior apprentice brother alone is still not enough. Fighting together with junior apprentice brother this time is not bad. We can have more exchanges in the future. With that, he turned and left. He had only said those words to save face. In reality, he also knew that Kang Shinmu's battle prowess was above his. Although he could not understand why, it was obvious that this was the truth. Of course, on the surface, he took all the credit and put it on himself. He could not truly admit that Kang Shinmu was stronger than him. Otherwise, wouldn't he become a joke? At least in front of the many disciples of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land, he still had to save some face. Unfortunately, Kang Xinmu did not give him any face at all. When Su Feibai turned and was about to leave, Kang Xinmu said slowly, "I don't really understand what you are talking about. I didn't need your help to kill those two demonic creatures. I didn't expect that as a 9th-grade disciple of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land, your character would be so terrible. Not only did you not save them, but you also spouted nonsense." The moment these words were said, the atmosphere immediately froze. Pu Tianhua and the other disciples of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land were originally welcoming Su Feibai's return and even praising his heroic performance. He had killed a peak berserk demonic creature, then a 9th-level transcendent god demonic creature, and finally an 8th-level transcendent god demonic creature. In the eyes of those people, no matter which demonic creature was killed, Su Feibai would be the main contributor. But now, Kang Xinmu suddenly said such words. This was directly belittling Su Feibai. How can you be so rude? The 7th-level transcendent god female disciple of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land immediately shouted at Kang Xinmu, "Senior brother Feibai clearly saved you, but in the end, not only did you not appreciate it, but you are also so arrogant and despotic? The dignified disciple of Emperor Shi actually has such a low character?" The moment these words were said, the atmosphere immediately became tense. Su Feibai was a little embarrassed, but he did not feel that he had done anything wrong. Instead, he turned around and glared at Kang Xinmu. "Junior brother Kang Xinmu, aren't you going too far by saying that? We are all from the same holy land. Fighting side by side just now should have been a good opportunity for everyone to communicate. I didn't expect you to say such words because of jealousy. It is really disappointing." Su Feibai maintained his aloof demeanor and said calmly, "Forget it. After all, you are my junior brother. I can't be bothered to argue with you. Let's go." He turned around and wanted to leave. He had no choice. If there was a real conflict, he was sure that he was not Kang Xinmu's match. The other disciples of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land could not see it, but he was very clear that Kang Xinmu's battle prowess was stronger than his. Therefore, he only wanted to quickly slip away. However, how could Kang Xinmu let him leave just like that? If he let him escape just like that, his name, Kang Xinmu, would probably stink in the 5 extreme dark ice holy land in the future. Therefore, he definitely could not let Su Feibai have it easy. Want to save face? Kang Xinmu laughed coldly. Then he would make Su Feibai lose all face. He could imagine that if he did not retaliate today, Su Feibai would go back and distort the truth. If it only affected Kang Xinmu, he would not care. However, it was obvious that this matter would definitely be related to Emperor Shi and Senior Divine Dragon, saying that Emperor Shi's character was lacking. How could Kang Xinmu tolerate such a thing happening? "Shut up." Kang Xinmu finally said calmly. He could not be bothered to talk nonsense and went straight to the point. "Over there, another 4 9th-tier transcendent god demonic creatures have appeared. According to what you said, it shouldn't be a problem for you to deal with 2 9th-tier transcendent god demonic creatures alone, right? Each of us will block 2 demonic creatures and see who defeats them first. How about that?" Chapter 55-59. How could Su Feibai dare to bet with Kang Xinmu like this? It was already difficult for him to deal with 1 9th-tier supreme god demonic creature, let alone 2. That was not giving him a way out. Hence, he pretended to be calm and said, "We are not a match for 4 9th-tier supreme god demonic creatures. Junior brother Kang Xinmu, don't be impulsive. In my opinion, leaving this place together is the right thing to do. Otherwise, if we encounter danger, it will be too late for regrets." In his opinion, no matter how strong Kang Xinmu was, it was impossible for him to fight against 4 demonic creatures alone, right? As long as Su Feibai did not agree, Kong Shinmu would definitely not dare to fight against 4 demonic creatures alone. Hence, the situation would collapse on its own. The fact that he was not as good as Kong Shinmu would not be discovered. As for the conflict that broke out in the future, he could use the excuse that Kong Shinmu was Emperor Shi's disciple to say that Kong Shinmu had improved too quickly and that it was normal for him to not be a match for him. Anyway, now, he could not admit that he was not as good as Kong Shinmu. However, his estimation of Kong Shinmu's strength was also wrong. To Kong Shinmu, there was nothing he did not dare to fight against 4 9th-tier Supreme God demonic creatures. Ha ha ha. Kong Shinmu immediately laughed. Su Feibai, put away your hypocrisy. I didn't expect you to be so weak that you don't even dare to deal with 2 demonic creatures. What did you say just now? You said that I killed those 2 demonic creatures because of your help? What a joke. You don't even dare to deal with 2 demonic creatures, yet you dare to say that you helped me just now? What a joke. Then, he immediately transformed into a pitch-black devouring divine dragon and headed straight for the 4 9th-tier Supreme God demonic creatures that were flying over from afar. This scene caused Su Feibai's expression to change. In his opinion, Kong Shinmu must be crazy. He was actually so bold to want to fight against 4 demonic creatures alone. This scene also caused the expressions of Pu Tianhua and the other disciples of the 5 Extremes Mysterious Ice Holy Land to change. Is this guy crazy? Senior Fei Bai is a 9th grade disciple, so it's normal for this Kong Shinmu to be inferior to Senior Fei Bai. Why do you have to be so impulsive? He wants to prove that he is stronger than Senior Brother Fei Bai. Senior Brother Fei Bai, what should we do now? We don't have to care about him anymore, right? Let's take this opportunity to leave first. Otherwise, if those 4 demonic beasts are agitated and go crazy, I'm afraid we won't be able to leave. The expressions of the disciples of the 5 Extreme Profound Ice Holy Land changed again and again. Yu Tianchang, Feng Ligei, and Gu Yusheng were with Su Yi, watching the crowd coldly from the sidelines. To them, this group of people were just watching them die. Therefore, they were too lazy to walk with this group of people. On the contrary, they were more willing to be with Kong Shinmu. This wasn't just because Kong Shinmu was stronger. Even if Kong Shinmu's battle prowess was inferior to Su Feibai's, they wouldn't look down on Kong Shinmu. Instead, they would admire Kong Shinmu even more. Because if that was the case, even Kong Shinmu would dare to appear and save them, but Su Feibai was stronger, so he didn't dare to make a move? What a joke. We won't leave. Yu Tianchang said indifferently. She believed that Kong Shinmu wouldn't speak without thinking. Since he had said that, he must be confident. Even if it were 4 9th grade transcendent god demonic beasts, Yu Tianchang believed that Kong Shinmu could defeat them. She felt that Su Feibai was too disgusting right now. She was looking forward to Kong Shinmu teaching Su Feibai a lesson and making him lose all face. After hearing that they wouldn't leave, Su Feibai's expression turned even worse. He understood that if he didn't handle this matter well, his reputation would be ruined. Although the disciples of the 5 Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land were still on his side, that was because they didn't know the truth. They all felt that Su Feibai was stronger than Kong Shinmu. Therefore, it was normal for them to stand on his side. Once it was proven that he, Su Feibai, was inferior to Kong Shinmu, there was no doubt that the disciples of the 5 Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land would no longer stand on his side. He had to stop this from happening. Junior brother Kong Shinmu is too impulsive. Su Feibai suddenly sighed and said as if he couldn't bear to watch, as a senior brother, I can't just watch him die at the hands of the demonic beasts. As soon as he finished speaking, he transformed into the 5 Extremes Dark Ice Divine Dragon and followed closely behind Kong Shinmu. Of course, he didn't want to deal with 2 demonic beasts like Kong Shinmu had said. Instead, he planned to do the same thing as before. He just needed to cooperate with Kang Shinmu and let others think that he was cooperating with Kang Shinmu to kill the demonic beasts. That was enough. If he really couldn't resist, then he wouldn't really share the burden with Kang Shinmu. If Kang Shinmu died, then he died. In any case, he had already done what he needed to do. He had persuaded and helped, but Kang Shinmu still died. What else could he do? Not only could he prove himself and continue to mislead others, but he could also gain the greater good. It had to be said that Su Feibai's methods were truly disgusting. Unfortunately, the disciples of the Five Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land really fell for it. Senior brother is so righteous. As expected of senior brother Feibai. Even so, he still went to save that Kang Shinmu. In comparison, that Kang Shinmu is too insensible. Not only did he go to his death, but he also forced senior brother Feibai into a dangerous situation. The disciples of the Five Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land started discussing. But asking them to help, they didn't dare. Those 4 demonic beasts were all 9th-level transcendent god existences. If they were to face those 4 demonic beasts, they would probably be killed in one wave with their strength. They didn't dare to go at all. They had never thought that Kang Shinmu was only a 4th-level transcendent god. Kang Shinmu flew in front and was about to meet the 9th-level transcendent god demonic beasts. In the end, he didn't expect that Su Feibai would actually follow him. Why was he acting like a dog skin plaster? Didn't you say that it was dangerous? Why are you still following me? Stay away. Kang Shinmu sneered and said to Su Feibai. I can't just stand by and watch. Su Feibai said seriously. Now you know how to stand by and watch? Kang Shinmu mocked him and said indifferently, do whatever you want. But if you really want to come over, don't blame me for being impolite. I don't mind fighting the 5 of you alone. Su Feibai's expression froze when he said that. 1 against 5? What did that mean? For 9th-level transcendent god demonic beasts. And him, Su Feibai? Isn't this kid a little too audacious? The key was that Kang Shinmu could say that, but he, Su Feibai, couldn't really besiege Kang Shinmu with the demonic beasts. I have to go. Once he really proves himself, I will lose all face and my reputation will be ruined. Su Feibai's expression darkened. He had to help Kang Shinmu. Even if Kang Shinmu beat him, he had to help Kang Shinmu. However, just as he was about to rush forward, 19 layers of despair canopy. Layers of pitch-black devouring power condensed into a canopy of despair, blocking in front of Su Feibai, completely blocking him. Immediately after, Kang Shinmu clashed with the 4 9th-level transcendent god demonic beasts. Chapter 55-60. Kang Shinmu blocked Su Feibai's path without hesitation. Then, he turned around and unleashed multiple extreme destructive heavenly might dragon souls to fight against the 4 9th-tier transcendent god demonic creatures. This made the expressions of everyone around change drastically. Wasn't Kang Shinmu too arrogant? He actually said that he could fight against 5 demonic creatures alone. Most importantly, he didn't just rely on words. He even put it into action and blocked Su Feibai behind him. How arrogant was he? However, it just so happened that everyone was shocked by Jiang Shenwu's actions and none of them dared to utter a single word. This was because Kang Shinmu's battle had reached its climax. Terrifying demonic aura spread in all directions. The 4 9th-tier transcendent god demonic creatures released demonic aura techniques at Kang Shinmu. Countless demonic aura vortexes and storms completely enveloped Kang Shinmu. Unfortunately, Kang Shinmu had already been devouring demonic aura. His resistance to the power of these demonic creatures had reached its strongest state. Even if these 4 demonic creatures joined forces and the demonic aura attacked Kang Shinmu's black dragon body, it wouldn't cause much damage to Kang Shinmu. As for Kong Shinmu, he had already unleashed the full potential of the glorious transformation treasure, the 33 Sky Divine Plume. 33 extreme destructive heavenly might dragon souls. A total of 33 dragon souls charged forward and surrounded one of the 9th-tier transcendent god demonic creatures. Then, they suddenly exploded, breaking through it and dispersing it. One demonic creature was taken care of. Kong Shinmu's attacks were extremely swift and fierce. He didn't give those demonic creatures any chance. With just one move, he killed one demonic creature with terrifying power. This scene caused the expressions of the disciples of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land behind him to change. Especially Su Feibai, he was so angry that his face turned pale. His eyes were filled with shock and gloom. He realized that Kong Shinmu was really strong. It was so strong that it could directly kill a supreme god level 9 demonic creature. In his understanding, this was completely impossible. If Kong Shinmu had such strength, why didn't he use it just now? What he didn't know was that Kong Shinmu was just warming up. For Kong Shinmu, his true peak combat strength could only be displayed after a period of battle. He needed to devour his opponent's power to increase his resistance. He also needed to let the power of the 33 Heavens Divine Feather gradually erupt. In the beginning, the 33 Heavens Divine Plume could only display 9 layers of attacks. But now, Kong Shinmu's first move was the 33 layers of the Super Divine Dragon Martial Skill. It was enough to destroy a demon in one move. Su Feibai was extremely anxious right now. He could tell that Kong Shinmu's strength had already erupted to an unimaginable level. If he really allowed Kong Shinmu to get rid of those 4 devils, wouldn't he, Su Feibai, lose all his standing and reputation today? Absolutely not. However, he didn't have any good ideas right now. Kong Shinmu's 10 layers of canopy of despair blocked his way, making it impossible for him to break through and pretend to help. Moreover, Kong Shinmu had just said that he wanted to fight 5 of them alone. Given the combat strength that Kong Shinmu had displayed, if he really attacked Su Feibai, it was very likely that Su Feibai would be killed. Su Feibai was too depressed, but he didn't dare to do anything at this time. After thinking for a long time, there was only one feasible plan. Kong Shinmu naturally didn't know what Su Feibai was doing. He had just destroyed one of the supreme god level 9 demonic creatures, but there were still 3 demonic creatures surrounding him. Extreme destructive heavenly might dragon soul. The pitch-black dragon soul whistled through the air, and it smashed down wave after wave, causing those devils to be unable to dodge or resist it at all. Most importantly, under the effect of the devouring power, Kong Shinmu didn't show any signs of exhaustion. Instead, he became more and more courageous as he fought. All the energy that he consumed could be absorbed from the bodies of the demonic creatures. Although Kong Shinmu couldn't use the devoured demonic energy directly, he could use it after the devouring power was converted. He could easily restore his strength, and he was at his peak condition almost all the time. Kill. Kill again. The last one. Just like that, the 4 supreme god level 9th level demonic creatures were blasted apart by Kong Shinmu one after another, shattering into waves of demonic energy that scattered everywhere. It was too shocking. At first, just one supreme god level 9th level demonic creature was enough to make Su Feibai and the others flee. In fact, Su Feibai didn't even dare to care about Yu Tiansheng and the other 2 women. He even used Yu Tiansheng and the other 2 women as bait and threw them to the back to attract the attention of the demonic creatures so that it would be easier for him to escape. Unfortunately, he didn't expect that Kong Shinmu would appear and be so powerful. For supreme god level 9th level demonic creatures were blasted apart. Previously, Su Feibai had pretended to say that he had helped Kong Shinmu, which allowed Kong Shinmu to defeat the demonic creatures. In the end, it was a huge slap in the face. Kong Shinmu could kill for supreme god level 9th level demonic creatures alone. Why would he need Su Feibai? If Su Feibai was really that strong, he wouldn't have been able to escape with them in the first place. All of a sudden, everyone realized that there was a problem with Su Feibai. This person definitely had a huge problem. He clearly didn't have the strength, yet he pretended to be. After Kong Xinmu appeared, he even mocked and ridiculed Kong Xinmu. He was simply outrageous. Thinking about how they had spoken up for Su Feibai just now, many disciples of the Five Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Now that the truth was out, there was no doubt that Su Feibai wasn't doing things properly. As for Kong Xinmu, he was truly a hero. His battle prowess was tyrannical, and he actually had the battle prowess of a peak supreme god level. This was simply amazing. This was even equivalent to some elders of the Five Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land, right? Too strong. Moreover, he was righteous and did not seem to have any opinions about Su Feibai at first. It was Su Feibai who had come to cause trouble. Seeing that Yu Tianchang was being chased, Kong Xinmu made a move to stop the demonic creatures. At that time, Su Feibai had thought that Kong Xinmu was forcing him to make a move. But now, it seemed that Kong Xinmu did not care about him at all. I've killed them. I have to devour that demonic chi rift. That's the source of the demonic creature's appearance. Kong Xinmu pondered in his heart. Right at this moment, the disciples of the Five Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land behind him exclaimed. Then, they heard a scream. This scream seemed to be coming from Su Feibai. What is he up to now? Kong Xinmu frowned slightly. Then, he looked back, and saw that Su Feibai had actually crashed into his canopy of despair and seemed to have been seriously injured. He actually pretended to be seriously injured by Kong Xinmu? What a weirdo. Chapter 55-61. Kong Xinmu could tell what Su Feibai was thinking at a glance. And sure enough, after Su Feibai let out a blood-curdling scream, the female disciple who had always disliked Jiang Shenwu immediately spoke up. Kong Xinmu, are you still human? How dare you attack a senior brother of the Holy Land? This 7th-level Divine Realm female disciple of the Holy Land of Five Extreme Mysterious Ice had always had a soft spot for Su Feibai. When she realized that Kong Xinmu had such terrifying strength, she was in a state of panic. She did not want to believe that the senior brother Su Feibai she had always respected was such a despicable person. But now, Su Feibai had been injured by Kong Xinmu's dragon martial technique. And it looked like he was seriously injured. The female disciple immediately stood up and criticized Kong Xinmu. As far as I know, this Kong Xinmu has been in the demon god race Great World with the Su royal family. He seems to have obtained some kind of heaven and earth holy treasure. In my opinion, this Kong Xinmu just used a heaven and earth holy treasure to defeat the demon. That's very possible. No wonder he could kill those 4 9th-level Divine Realm demonic beasts even though he's only a 4th-level Divine Realm demonic beast. I've never heard of it. How can a 4th-level Divine Realm demonic beast fight against a peak-level Divine Realm demonic beast? For a moment, everyone started discussing. They pointed at Kong Xinmu in the distance. In their opinion, Kong Xinmu had relied on a heaven and earth holy treasure to defeat the demonic beast. It had nothing to do with his own combat strength. In fact, Kong Xinmu did not even use the extreme 10-directional devil seal. Because although he could control the power of this thing, he did not know that the current dragon martial continent could withstand O Chang's power. Once he used a power that exceeded what the dragon martial continent could withstand, the entire dragon martial continent might collapse. Therefore, it was impossible for Kong Xinmu to use the extreme 10-directional devil seal in the current dragon martial continent. He had used his own strength to defeat those 4 9th-level Divine Realm demonic beasts. Sigh. Seeing this, Kong Xinmu could not help but sigh and shake his head. How could there be such a vulgar person in this world? He could not figure it out. However, these people usually interacted with Su Feibai and were completely unfamiliar with him. Therefore, when something happened, it was completely normal for them to stand on Su Feibai's side. As for Su Feibai, Kang Xinmu glanced in that direction. The black dragon glided through the air and retracted the power of the canopy of despair. My super god spirit martial skill is despair canopy. Some of you should be cultivating, right? This is a defensive dragon martial skill. Senior brother Su Feibai was seriously injured by my defensive dragon martial skill. Isn't this too strange? Kang Xinmu said lightly. Nonsense. Someone immediately shouted, the canopy of despair is a single layer of defense. How can it be like yours? You actually have nearly 20 layers? 33 Heaven's godly plume. Have you heard of the glorious transformation treasure? Kang Xinmu glanced at that person. That person was instantly speechless. Of course he had heard of the 33 Heaven's godly plume. This was an extremely powerful glorious transformation treasure material. However, he did not expect to see it in reality. After all, to him, the 33 Heaven's godly plume was too precious. Ordinary dragon martial artists could not afford it at all. Even a powerhouse like Su Feibai would find it extremely difficult to purchase the 33 Heaven's godly plume. After all, it was rare, and many dragon martial artists wanted it. Not only dragon martial artists, but also many foreign martial artists. Those who could obtain the 33 Heaven's godly plume were always in the minority. Of course, he did not expect Kang Xinmu to have the 33 Heaven's godly plume. Therefore, after hearing what Kang Xinmu said, this person was completely speechless. You said that senior brother Feibai was not injured by you. Then why did he scream? From the looks of it, his injuries are very serious. Could it be that he suddenly got injured? The female disciple sneered. You are also a weirdo. Kang Xinmu glanced at her and casually said, since you think that his injuries are very serious, why are you still talking nonsense here? Why don't you go over and see how his injuries are? Perhaps if you miss the opportunity to heal him, he will die. Kang Xinmu's words caused the female disciple to choke. You actually cursed senior brother Feibai. Shut up. Kang Xinmu glanced at her, his expression turning incomparably cold. I really did not expect that the disciples of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land would be so unreasonable. I will report today's matter to the seniors of the holy land. Kang Xinmu could not be bothered to say anything more to them about this matter. As for that Su Feibai, Kang Xinmu naturally could not be bothered to care about him. Let's go. Kang Xinmu brought Su Yi and turned to leave. Yu Tianchang and the other 2 girls also followed closely behind. They could not stay with Su Feibai and the others anymore. Kang Xinmu directly headed for the crack in the demonic qi, leaving the girls to stay in the distance. Only he flew towards the crack in the demonic qi alone. His devouring power spread out and completely sealed the crack in the demonic qi, and he began to devour it, not long after. The seniors of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land arrived. They were 3 elders of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land. They were all peak transcendent god level experts. These elders were not ordinary peak transcendent gods. They were all super experts who could go to a transcendent god level ancient ruin and successfully come out alive. When the 3 elders arrived, Yi Qingtang's expression changed. Su Feibai and the others immediately surrounded them, adding fuel to the fire, saying that Kang Xinmu's actions just now, accusing Kang Xinmu of actually attacking his own people. Needless to say, this Su Feibai was really injured. He even suffered internal injuries. This was, of course, an act. If he did not act a little better, how could he have harmed Kang Xinmu? Unfortunately, these 3 elders were genuine elders. They were existences that could run amok in the current dragon continent. What peak transcendent god-level demonic beings could not withstand a single blow from them? How could they not have some tricks up their sleeves? Get out of the way. One of the elders transformed into a divine dragon tens of thousands of feet long. He raised his dragon claw, and a sacred item flew out. It was an incomparably ancient mirror. The Mirror of Recall. In this mirror, the scene of Kang Xinmu and Su Feibai's attacks began to appear. The entire process was clear at a glance. This situation caused the faces of Su Feibai and the others to turn pale. This elder actually had such a trick up his sleeves. What kind of heavenly treasure was this ancient mirror? It could actually replay the scene that had just happened? They had completely miscalculated. The faces of Su Feibai and the others immediately darkened. They were finished. All of you are truly disappointing. The few of you, go back and reflect on your actions for this elder. You are confined for 3 years, and you are not allowed to go out. The 3 elders quickly understood the situation, and they were so angry that their eyebrows were furrowed. Each and every one of them blew their beards and glared at them. They simply didn't expect that the 9th-ranked disciple of their holy land would actually be like this. Kang Xinmu was not surprised by the elders' clear observation. If the elders of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land were like these disciples, stirring up trouble, they would have long since declined. Just like many of the holy lands that had declined. Chapter 55-62. With the arrival of the 3 elders of the holy land of 5 extremes mysterious ice, the whole matter was finally over. Su Feibai, Pu Tianhua, and the others were all punished. Su Feibai, who was the most severely punished, would be confined for 3 years after he returned, not allowed to go out. As for the others, although their punishment was not as severe, it was not good either. At the very least, they had left a bad impression in the eyes of the 3 elders. Moreover, they would all be confined for a few months. In particular, the female disciple who had been clinging to Kang Xinmu, was directly confined for 2 years, only 1 year less than Su Feibai's punishment. How unbearable! Just like that, the group of people was sent back. As for the 3 elders, 2 of them went to send Su Feibai and the others back. The remaining elder with the mirror of retrospection went to find Su Yi and the others. Now that Kang Xinmu was devouring the demon Qi rift, he did not come to disturb him. It was the same to tell some things to Su Yi. How vexing. I'm already so old, but I didn't expect the younger generation to be so spoiled. The elder sighed and looked in the direction of Kang Xinmu. Only Kang Xinmu can become the pillar of our holy land in the future. By the way, what is he doing? He was a little curious about Kang Xinmu's situation. He's devouring the demon Qi rift. Su Yi answered. This answer made the elder's eyes light up. Devouring the demon Qi rift. Was there such a powerful technique? It was not just this elder. Even Yu Tiangsheng and the other 2 women were a little surprised. They did not know that the demon Qi rift could be devoured. Amazing, amazing. Heroes come from the young. The elder nodded in satisfaction. The more he looked at Kang Xinmu, the more he found him pleasing to the eye. From the scene of the mirror of retrospection just now, he could see that Kang Xinmu did not use any heaven and earth holy items at all. The reason he could defeat so many 9th-tier transcendent god monsters was because Kang Xinmu was strong enough. Most importantly, he must have a good character. Kang Xinmu didn't get angry even when faced with a scoundrel like Su Feibai. In fact, if Kang Xinmu got angry on the spot, he could have seriously injured Su Feibai. But Kang Xinmu did not. He was just waiting for the elders of the 5 extreme dark ice holy land to come and deal with it. From this, it could be seen that Kang Xinmu's character was very good. This further deepened the elders' feeling that heroes come from youth. I am Luo Yufeng. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, you can come to the sacred land to find me. The elder said with a smile. However, with Kang Xinmu's talent, I'm afraid that this old man won't be able to help him for long. He looked at Kang Xinmu as if he was looking at a treasure. To him, Kang Xinmu represented the future of the Five Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land. In fact, with the talent that Kang Xinmu was currently displaying, he would probably break through to the supreme level sooner or later. When that time came, he would have to look up to Kang Xinmu. Of course, in the eyes of this elder, Luo Yufeng, it would definitely take a very long time for Kang Xinmu to break through to the supreme level. It was impossible for him to be so fast. However, he did not know that the supreme level was far from the end for Kang Xinmu. His real focus was the ancestral dragon. Therefore, even if he became a dragon martial artist with a dragon soul, Kang Xinmu would not stop, let alone the supreme level. Soon, Elder Luo Yufeng left. As for Kang Xinmu, the process of devouring the demonic Qi rift was also nearing its end. The demonic Qi rift he devoured this time was much stronger than the previous one. This was because at least 6 ninth-tier transcendent god monsters had emerged from this demonic Qi rift. Every time a monster of this level appeared, it would make the demonic Qi rift stronger. To Kang Xinmu, this powerful demonic Qi rift was a great supplement. All of its power was devoured by Kang Xinmu and integrated into his body. After being transformed by the devouring power, he could even improve his cultivation. Not only did it deepen Kang Xinmu's understanding of the space attribute void power, but it also made his devouring power purer, thus improving the realm of the dragon god race's inheritance. 5th tier transcendent god. I can break through now. Kang Xinmu did not expect his breakthrough speed to be so fast. However, this was normal. After all, in terms of the demon god race's inheritance, he had obtained the 16-winged heavenly demon god's inheritance and had already cultivated to the 5th tier transcendent god level. Moreover, Kang Xinmu had already consolidated and familiarized himself with this level of power. Therefore, now that the dragon god race's inheritance had improved, it was like taking advantage of the situation for him. There was no sense of obstruction at all, and everything was going with the flow. Moreover, he did not need to consolidate this level of power, because he was already able to use this level of power like a finger. The dragon god race is still stronger. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. In the inheritance of the 16-winged heavenly demon god, Kang Xinmu had broken through to the 5th tier transcendent god level, which was why he had the combat power of a peak transcendent god. With the devouring dragon god race's inheritance, he had already reached the peak transcendent god level when he was only at the 4th tier transcendent god level. After all, the devouring power was the inherent power of the dragon god race's inheritance. When using the demon god race's inheritance power, the devouring power could not be fully exerted. It's a pity that the devouring of this demonic Qi rift is not as great as the dragon scale I devoured previously. Kang Xinmu felt that it was a pity. However, there was more than one demonic Qi rift. Currently, the entire dragon martial continent was filled with such demonic Qi rifts. Demonic creatures of various levels of strength constantly emerged and surged toward the dragon's sealing abyss. These demonic Qi rifts were Kang Xinmu's targets. He turned around and met up with Sui, Yu Tianchang, and the others. In that case, follow me. If stronger demonic creatures appear, I can deal with them. You can help me get rid of some of the demonic creatures that are obstructing me. Kang Xinmu decided to act with the 4 women. As the 4 women were a little slow, in order to buy time, Kang Xinmu let them return to their human forms and stand on the neck of his divine dragon body. This was the same as Sui. Thus, a black divine dragon that was hundreds of feet long flew toward another demonic Qi rift in the distance. 4 beautiful girls were standing on the neck of his divine dragon. Feeling the scenery around them constantly moving backward and the wind blowing, Yu Tianchang could not help but feel a little emotional. She recalled the first time she met Kong Shinmu. Kong Shinmu was still her junior brother. But now, he had grown much stronger than her. Chapter 55-63. Kong Shinmu led the four women forward. Along the way, if they encountered any demonic cracks, they would directly devour them. If there were any powerful demonic creatures, he would naturally deal with them. However, as long as they were not too strong, he would leave them to the four women to deal with. This would save Kong Shinmu time and allow him to devour other demonic cracks faster. It would also allow the four women to gain some experience and improve their combat experience. Soon, a day had passed. Kong Shinmu and the others had cleared 7 or 8 demonic cracks along the way. Unfortunately, these demonic cracks did not contain much energy, so they did not have much effect on Kong Shinmu's improvement. He took the time to break through the realm of the Dragon God clan's inheritance and reached the 5th level of the Supreme God realm. His combat strength had skyrocketed again, allowing him to fight against some demonic creatures at the peak of the 9th level of the Supreme God realm. He did not even need the 33 Heavens Divine Feather to warm up. With a single blow, he would be able to kill that demonic creature. Then, all the demonic energy was devoured by Kong Shinmu and turned into nourishment for him to restore the power he had consumed. Even at night, Kong Shinmu and the others did not stop to rest. Instead, they continued to clear the demonic vortex. All the way to the sealed dragon abyss. As there were too many demonic cracks, Kong Shinmu was not in a hurry to go to the sealed dragon abyss. There were the most experts there, so he did not have to worry about the sealed dragon abyss being breached. One night passed. At dawn, Kong Shinmu continued to move forward with the four women. Soon, they arrived at a mountain range with extremely dense demonic energy. They could feel that there were probably several demonic cracks in this mountain range at the same time. Moreover, many demonic creatures had already emerged, and they were not weak. All of you, be careful. In addition to the demonic energy, I also feel that there are many experts inside. Kong Shinmu said solemnly, I'll go in and take a look first. If they are in danger, I'll save them. Okay. Yu Tianchang and the others nodded and stopped on a mountain peak at the edge of the mountain range. They watched as Kong Shinmu flew into the mountains. They were not worried about his safety. After all, Kong Shinmu's battle prowess was too strong. He could kill a supreme god-level demonic being in one blow, let alone others. Moreover, even if a supreme being were to appear, Kong Shinmu would definitely have a way to kill the other party. Very soon, Kong Shinmu transformed into a black dragon and flew towards the valley. He could hear a series of dragon roars from afar. All kinds of energies exploded in the mountain range, and demonic energy kept bursting out, spreading out waves of demonic energy. When Kong Shinmu turned around a call, he discovered that in the mountain range ahead, there were indeed 3 connected devil chi cracks. There was even some connection between these 3 demonic energy rifts. Some of the demonic energy was connected to each other, strengthening each other. This allowed the 3 demonic chi rifts to pass through more powerful demonic creatures faster. At this moment, there was a team of dragon martialists in the field. This team of dragon martialists had a total of 8 people, all of whom could be considered supreme god-level experts. The strongest one was only a 6th-tier supreme god, and it seemed like he was not from the 5 extremes Dark Ice Holy Land. Instead, he was from other holy lands. Now that the dragon martial continent was in such a situation, the dragon god's great world naturally sent all the holy lands over. On the one hand, they could increase their combat level, and on the other hand, they could receive rewards from the Dragon Soul Holy Tower. He's only a 6th-tier supreme god, and yet he brought his team to the vicinity of these 3 demonic energy rifts. He's too careless. Kong Shinmu looked at the 8 gathered dragon martialists in the field. They all transformed into their divine dragon forms and unleashed their strongest defensive means. These defensive powers gathered together and joined forces, and only then did they manage to resist the attacks of the surrounding demonic creatures. Kang Xinmu saw this and knew that these people would not be able to hold on for long. He immediately charged into the battle circle. On the battlefield, the strongest demonic creature was only at the 7th tier supreme god level. Kang Xinmu directly targeted this demonic creature and unleashed the extreme heavens might dragon soul. The pitch-black dragon soul brought with it layers of air waves as it swept out and instantly hit the 7th tier supreme god demonic creature. At this moment, the demonic energy exploded. The demonic creature could not withstand Kang Xinmu's terrifying attack at all. It was directly shattered by the extreme heavens might dragon soul, and waves of demonic energy dissipated in all directions. At the same time, the 8 supreme god-level dragon martialists who were surrounded by demonic creatures were overjoyed when they saw this. Great, someone is here to help us. That's not right. I feel that this person is clearly only a 5th-tier supreme god. How did he kill the leader of the demonic creatures with a single strike? There are many geniuses who can challenge those of a higher level these days. This person should be a genius. Why do I feel that he looks a little like Kang Xinmu from the 5 Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land? Everyone discussed animatedly, their faces filled with joy. To them, the current situation was very urgent. Although they had already informed the elders and experts of the Holy Land to come and support them, it would probably take a long time for them to arrive. If Kang Xinmu had not appeared, some of them would probably not be able to hold on much longer. Now, even though Kang Xinmu had only killed one of the 7th-tier supreme god demonic creatures, the pressure on them had been greatly reduced. Let's charge in the direction of the reinforcements together. The leader of the dragon martialists immediately shouted and took the lead to roar out a thunderous dragon breath, forcing a demonic creature on the way away. The others followed closely behind him and rushed out of the encirclement of the demonic creatures. Soon, they would be able to meet up with Kang Xinmu. Thank you for helping us out. May I ask if you are senior brother Kang Xinmu from the 5 Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land? There were a total of 5 men and 3 women. When they came to meet up with Kang Xinmu, their eyes were filled with gratitude. That's me. Kang Xinmu nodded. As his pitch-black divine dragon body passed through the crowd, he said in a deep voice, "You guys retreat first. Leave this to me." He charged directly toward the large group of demonic creatures that were chasing behind him. At this moment, the expressions of the many dragon martialists changed when they saw his actions. As expected of the rumored Kang Xinmu. He's actually so bold. He should be confident, right? How confident can he be? That's dozens of demonic creatures. Just because he was able to kill that 7th-tier supreme god demonic creature doesn't mean that he can deal with so many demonic creatures at the same time. That's right. Those demonic creatures were all focused on us just now. As long as his attack is strong enough, he can kill that 7th-tier supreme god demonic creature. But now, he wants to face so many demonic creatures alone. How is that possible? Chapter 55-64. The dragon warriors were all in disbelief as they observed Kang Xinmu from afar. They didn't dare to help Kang Xinmu at all. Because the despair they felt when they were surrounded by the demonic creatures was too terrifying. None of them wanted to experience it a second time. At this moment, as they watched Kang Xinmu face the large group of supreme god-level demonic creatures, they were extremely shocked and bewildered. Could Kang Xinmu really fight against so many demonic creatures? They were all extremely nervous. As Kang Xinmu was about to clash with the large group of demonic creatures, none of them dared to speak. Their eyes were filled with nervousness. Come on. In front of Kang Xinmu, there were 40 to 50 supreme god-level demonic creatures, ranging from the 1st to the 5th level of the Supreme God level. These demonic creatures were nothing in front of Kang Shinmu. But Kang Shinmu didn't care. To him, all these demonic creatures together could not hurt him at all. Finally, the group of demonic creatures swept over in a frenzy, releasing waves of violent demonic energy in midair. Waves of demonic aura and demonic energy surged towards Kang Shinmu. The overwhelming demonic energy surged over and instantly enveloped Kang Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body. In an instant, Kang Shinmu's entire divine dragon body was engulfed by the surging demonic energy. This scene caused the hearts of the 8 dragon warriors behind him to tremble. The group of demonic creatures' terrifying attack was actually so terrifying. If they had encountered such a terrifying joint attack just now, they probably wouldn't have been able to hold on. Fortunately, when they were fighting with the demonic creatures just now, they had separated the demonic creatures into several battlefields and were not able to join forces. Otherwise, they would have been killed long ago. And at this moment, how is Kang Shinmu? I hope he's fine. He was so cool when he saved us just now. Does he look like he's going to be fine? With such violent demonic creatures attacking together, even a 6th or 7th tier transcendent god wouldn't be able to withstand it, let alone a 5th tier transcendent god. I think so too. Those monsters are so violent that they are definitely not something that a 5th level transcendent god realm dragon warrior can resist. What do we do now? Should we run? Let's retreat first. We can't help Kang Shinmu in any way. Let's retreat to a safe area and wait for the Holy Land's elders to come. They were very grateful to Kang Shinmu. But looking at Kang Shinmu, who was now engulfed by the boundless demonic chi, they felt helpless. If they had a way, they wouldn't have been surrounded by those demonic creatures just now. He's overconfident. He should have left with us earlier, a slender female dragon warrior sighed. Now, there was no other way. They could only wait for the elders of the Holy Land to arrive. However, just as they turned around and were about to leave, Kang Shinmu, who had been attacked by the demonic creatures and had been enveloped by countless demonic chi, suddenly let out a violent dragon roar. The dragon roar resounded through the sky. Then, a wave of devouring power spread out in all directions, forming a devouring vortex that sucked in the dozens of demonic creatures. Heaven devouring 1000-directional break. The terrifying devouring vortex spread out in all directions with Kang Shinmu's black dragon body as the center. Heaven devouring dragon martial technique. At this moment, some unique dragon martial techniques appeared in Kang Shinmu's mind. They were specially compatible with his devouring talent and could perfectly unleash the attack power of his devouring talent. 1000-directional break was the easiest move to comprehend among these devouring dragon martial techniques. This move condensed the devouring power into a devouring vortex, devouring all the power and living beings in the surroundings and turning them into nutrients for Kang Shinmu. It was perfect to use in a one versus many situation. The heaven-devouring dragon martial technique that Kang Shinmu used now, 1000-directional break, was only at the level that he had just comprehended. The initial level was the human level. If he could comprehend it to the earth level, dragon level, or even the heaven level, it would undoubtedly become extremely terrifying. After all, this was an inherited dragon martial technique that belonged to the chaotic heaven-devouring dragon, right? At this point, Kang Shinmu's combat power was finally sufficient to obtain some unique dragon martial techniques. When he used the simplest heaven-devouring 1000-directional break, all the devouring power in his body condensed and formed a terrifying vortex around the black dragon body. 1000-directional break vortex formed. The dozens of demonic creatures that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws were sucked into the vortex at the same time. In the process of being sucked in, the devouring power was constantly tearing at the bodies of the demonic creatures. The terrifying power was quickly unbearable for these demonic creatures. In the end, these demonic creatures exploded one by one in the 1,000-directional break vortex, turning into countless devil chi fragments. These devil chi fragments were all sucked into the center of the vortex. The center of the vortex. This was the root of the 1,000-directional break martial technique. The endless devouring power sucked in the remains of the surrounding demonic creatures, turning them into the purest devil chi and being devoured by the devouring power. All the demonic creatures were torn to pieces by the 1,000-directional break martial technique. All the power was sucked in by the devouring vortex, turning into the purest power in Kong Shinmu's body. After this move, not only did Kong Shinmu not consume much power, but he also felt a little full because of the devoured devil chi. After a long time, the 1,000-directional break devouring vortex finally dissipated slowly. The group of young dragon martialists from the other sacred lands widened their eyes when they saw this scene. They couldn't believe that this scene was real. Kong Shinmu actually killed that group of demonic creatures. It was simply unbelievable. How is this possible? He's only at the 5th level of the transcendent god realm. So many of us couldn't resist that group of demonic creatures, but he actually resisted it alone? You're wrong. How is this resisting? He crushed that group of demonic creatures. Isn't this man too terrifying? As expected of a super genius who can reverse the situation of the entire 5 extremes Dark Ice Holy Land. They all recalled the time when the sacred lands were competing in the Dragon Soul Sacred Tower. Kong Shinmu had single-handedly pulled up the ranking of the 5 extremes Dark Ice Holy Land. What kind of terrifying talent was this? Previously, they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, so they didn't have a deep impression of Kong Shinmu. But now, when they witnessed with their own eyes that Kong Shinmu was able to destroy so many demonic creatures with one move, they were convinced. Chapter 55-65. All of a sudden, everyone was amazed and convinced. They were convinced by Kong Shinmu's battle prowess. When they thought that Kong Shinmu was about to be killed, they couldn't help but smile bitterly. They had no idea how strong Kong Shinmu was. It's a pity that our holy land doesn't have such a genius. What's a pity? They're all geniuses of our dragon gods. I'll be a fan of senior brother Shenwu in the future. He's too strong. He took care of so many demonic creatures with one move. Most importantly, he's only at the 5th level of the Supreme God realm. In comparison, a 5th level Supreme God, is too weak. Everyone started to discuss. But soon, their expressions changed slightly. They could clearly see that a stronger demonic creature had appeared in each of the 3 demonic chi cracks in the valley ahead. There were a total of 3. All of them had the strength of an 8th level Supreme God. They had actually moved out together. In the eyes of these dragon martial artists, an 8th level Supreme God was an opponent that they could never defeat. One had to know that among the group of demonic creatures just now, there was only one 7th level Supreme God. The rest were at most 5th level Supreme God. They couldn't hold on any longer. Now that an 8th level Supreme God had appeared, how could they be a match for it? It's over. This 8th level Supreme God is not just a little stronger than the previous demonic creatures. Senior brother Kong Shinmu, quickly retreat with us. The elders of our holy land should be here soon. We were saved by senior brother Kong Shinmu this time. We have to treat him to a good meal later. I'm just afraid that he won't do us the honor. After all, senior brother Kong Shinmu must be very busy. They were already discussing what to do next. To them, they didn't even consider the 8th level Supreme God demonic creatures as opponents that they should face. Therefore, they were already thinking of escaping this place. They were still quite far from the 3 demonic chi cracks, so it wouldn't be easy for the 3 8th level Supreme God demonic creatures to catch up to them. It would be easy for them to escape from this place. However, just when they thought that Kang Shinmu would leave with them, the scene in front of them stunned them. However, the pitch-black divine dragon that Kang Shinmu had transformed into had no intention of turning back. Instead, he was approaching the 3 demonic chi cracks. From the looks of it, he was going to deal with the 3 supreme god level 8 demonic creatures. Is senior brother Kang Shinmu crazy? That's a level 8 supreme god beast. He's only at the 5th level of the transcendent god realm. How can he be a match for the devil? The group of demonic creatures that we killed earlier looked very strong, but that's because there weren't any particularly strong ones among them. That's right. A group of 5th-tier transcendent gods can't even compare to an 8th-tier transcendent god. Senior brother Kang Shinmu is actually going to challenge an 8th-tier transcendent god monster? All of them widened their eyes. They couldn't believe that Kang Shinmu would make such a decision. In their opinion, it was the best choice for them to retreat together now. The truly powerful demonic creatures should naturally be left to the more powerful dragon martial artists to deal with. But now, Kang Shinmu's actions were completely contrary to what they had expected. He actually took the initiative to face the fiendish 8th-level supreme god beast. At this moment, especially the 3 female dragon martial artists, their eyes were filled with worry. To them, Kang Shinmu's performance just now was already extremely good. It had already left an extremely deep impression in their hearts. Now that they saw that Kang Shinmu was actually going to deal with the 3 supreme god 8th-level supreme god beasts, they couldn't help but feel worried. In their opinion, it would be a pity if a genius like Kang Shinmu died here. The others were also a little worried. If something were to happen to Kang Shinmu, they wouldn't feel good either. After all, they were the ones who watched Kang Shinmu get into trouble. When the time came, why didn't they help Kang Shinmu? Although the opponent was completely beyond their level, it wouldn't be nice to talk about it. As for Kang Shinmu, he didn't care about what those young dragon martial artists were thinking. Of course, those dragon martial artists weren't young anymore. Many of the 6th-tier and 7th-tier disciples of the Holy Lands might have cultivated for decades. It was especially so for those with higher cultivation realms. The dragon martial artists who were at the 5th tier of the super divine dragon realm could have cultivated for more than 100 years. As for Kang Shinmu, he didn't pay much attention to them. In fact, to him, the 3 supreme god 8th-level demonic creatures in front of him were nothing at all. He didn't pay much attention to them at all. Soon, he moved forward in his black dragon body, accompanied by a wave of devouring power. The 3 supreme god 8th-level demonic creatures were shrouded in a terrifying demonic aura and had strange-looking tentacles. After coming out of the demonic aura, they surrounded Kang Shinmu. After all, Kang Shinmu was the dragon martial artist closest to the demonic aura and was also the first choice of the 3 demonic creatures. Soon, Kang Shinmu's black dragon body charged forward, targeting one of the demonic creatures. What greeted him was the attack of the extreme destructive heavenly might dragon soul. Originally, Kang Shinmu's extreme destructive heavenly might dragon soul needed to absorb the surrounding spiritual energy to increase its power. But now, it wasn't needed. As Kang Shinmu's cultivation level was much higher than before, he didn't need to accumulate power to deal with a few supreme god 8th-level demonic creatures. He could even deal with supreme god 9th-level demonic creatures in an instant. Extreme destructive heavenly might dragon soul. Kang Shinmu's black dragon body charged forward, releasing the extreme destructive heavenly might dragon soul. As the pitch-black dragon soul emerged, streams of dragon breath shot toward the 3 demonic creatures. The body of the black dragon soul was incomparably deep and exuded a terrifying aura. The extreme destructive heavenly might dragon soul's breath instantly bombarded the 3 demonic creatures that took the initiative to approach him. With a single strike, the demonic creature was torn to shreds. Then, it was the other 2 demonic creatures. After the extreme destructive heavenly might dragon soul was released, the entire place was filled with the black dragon's breath condensed by the endless devouring power. It swept toward the demonic creatures in a frenzy. In just a short moment, the three Supreme God 8th level demonic creatures were all torn apart by this power. The bodies of the demonic creatures exploded. The devouring power swept the entire place, condensing all the power and integrating it into Kang Shinmu's black dragon body. To him, all of this was a very simple matter. However, this scene caused the eyes of the 8 dragon martial artists from the other sacred lands to widen. They couldn't believe what they were seeing at all. Originally, they thought that Kang Shinmu would be at a disadvantage, or even defeated by the 3 demonic creatures. Chapter 55-66. What was shocking? That was shocking. At that moment, the 8 dragon martialists from the other sacred lands were completely shocked by Kang Shinmu and stood rooted to the ground. The eyes of the mystical dragons were filled with disbelief. They were still thinking that Kang Shinmu was going to be crushed, but in the end, Jiang Shenwu had actually turned the tables and crushed the 3 8th level Supreme God Realm demonic creatures. In just a few breaths of time, he had completely killed the 3 beasts and destroyed them one by one. Senior brother Kang Shinmu is actually so powerful. It turns out that we have underestimated him. That's not all. I think he doesn't seem to have any intention of leaving. These 3 demonic chi rifts are definitely not something we should touch at our level. Now, even 8th stage Supreme God beasts have appeared. Could it be that a pinnacle level 9 Supreme God Realm demonic creature will appear next? If that's the case, we can only wait for our elders to come. They were discussing animatedly. At that moment, 2 divine dragons that were tens of thousands of feet long appeared in the distant sky and flew toward the valley at high speed. It's senior sister Shenglu and senior brother Shengming. It seems like the elders don't have time to come, so they sent senior brother over. It's good that they're here. The 8 dragon martialist disciples quickly recognized the 2 divine dragons that had rushed over. Both of them were the eldest disciples of their sacred land's elders. One of them was a beautiful and slender holy light dragon of their sacred land's eldest senior sister, Shenglu. The other was a majestic storm void dragon of their sacred land's eldest senior brother, Shengming. But very quickly, in their eyes, that wise and brilliant eldest senior brother seemed to have turned to another place midway. The one who appeared in front of them was senior sister Shenglu. Soon, the beautiful and slender holy light dragon of life arrived in front of everyone and returned to her human form. A beautiful woman in white appeared in front of them. Her eyes were like starlight, her skin was as white as snow, her perfect figure, and her elegant temperament attracted everyone's attention. Are you all right? The woman, Shenglu, asked everyone gently. Senior brother Kang Shinmu of the 5 Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land saved us. Moreover, he just killed 3 Supreme God Tier 8 demonic beasts. Hearing this, Shengli's pretty face revealed a look of surprise. She looked in the direction of the 3 demonic chi cracks and soon saw Kang Shinmu's divine dragon figure. She realized that he was only a 5th tier Supreme God Realm dragon warrior. He can kill a level 8 Supreme God beast? Shengli found it hard to believe. Senior sister, you've been in seclusion all this time. I'm afraid you don't know. One of the men said respectfully, this person is a super genius raised by the 5 Extreme Profound Ice Holy Land a while back. In the competition held by the Dragon Soul Sacred Tower, he directly helped the 5 Extreme Mysterious Ice Holy Lands rise in the rankings. He is Emperor Shi's Divine Dragon Senior's personal disciple. The direct disciple of Emperor Shi? When Shenglu heard this, his eyes lit up. He's only at the 5th level of the Transcendent God Realm. His battle prowess had actually reached the 8th level of the Supreme God Realm? That's quite impressive. Shi and Shengming were both the best of the best in their holy lands. They had already reached the peak of the 9th level of the Supreme God realm. Previously, the two of them had been in seclusion separately, wanting to rush to the supreme level. However, in the end, they were still unable to break through. In fact, they were still quite far from that level. Therefore, they came out to train. Being in seclusion all the time was not a solution. Based on the previous situation, even if they were to be in seclusion for another 10 or a few decades, they might not be able to comprehend and break through. Therefore, they had to come out to train. Coincidentally, the incident in the Dragon Martial Continent had given them the opportunity and environment to train. Although these demonic beasts were not strong, there were many of them. If they were to stay in battle, they would have a deeper understanding of their own cultivation. I didn't expect to meet such a genius this time. A smile appeared on Sheng Li's gentle face. She looked at the black dragon body that Kang Xinmu had transformed into in the distance, and a hint of interest appeared in her eyes. As for senior brother Sheng Ming, he turned around and went somewhere else when he was about to arrive. In next to no time, his Tempest Void dragon body landed on a nearby mountain peak. On this mountain peak, there were Su Yi, Yu Tianchang, and the other two women. They had been observing Kang Xinmu from a distance. They had no intention of getting involved, nor did they intend to get in touch with the dragon martial artists of the Holy Land. However, they had not expected that the stormy void dragon would fly straight to them. "May I ask who you are?" Yu Tianchang's cultivation was the highest among the people present, so she took the role of the speaker. Seeing a powerful dragon martial artist coming over, she was naturally a little nervous and dignified. "My name is Sheng Ming." The voice of a rather aloof man was heard. Then, the stormy void dragon returned to its human form. Storms swirled all over its body, and it looked down at the women with a hint of admiration. "You look a bit like Yaji. Are you her descendant?" The young-looking man glanced at Yu Tianchang and asked. Yu Tianchang was stunned. Yu Yaji was the dean of Donghuang Yangwu College. She was indeed Yu Yaji's descendant. "Yes." Yu Tianchang answered respectfully. The man in front of her knew Yu Yaji, so he must be her senior, and his cultivation was quite terrifying. He was probably at the peak of Supreme God realm. "Stay away, all of you," Sheng Ming said faintly, looking at the 3 devil chi cracks. "Those 3 devil chi cracks are no joke. If you stay here, you will probably encounter danger." "Well, I think it's okay. This place is far enough." Su Yi said casually, "Brother Jiang is watching over there. We won't be in danger." "Brother Jiang?" When Sheng Ming heard this, he glanced at Su Yi and sensed the aura on her body. He couldn't help but lightly snort. "You're talking about Jiang Shenwu, right? I've heard his name many times since I came out of seclusion. I didn't expect him to be here." "And you are the so-called little princess from the Demon God clan?" "Ha, that Kang Xinmu is a genius of our Dragon God clan, but he is colluding with the Demon God clan." "What a joke." Sheng Ming seemed to be a little unhappy with the Demon God clan. Who knew what kind of hatred there was between them? "It's up to you whether you want to leave or not, but I won't have time to care about you when we fight later." Sheng Ming sneered, and his tone became unpleasant. "Ha ha ha, who needs you to care about us? With Brother Jiang here, nothing will happen to us." Chapter 55-67. Hearing Su Yi's words, Sheng Ming sneered. Naturally, he could not be bothered with Su Yi. In his opinion, it would be best if Su Yi died here. Of course, he did not dare to take the initiative to attack Su Yi. After all, his identity was there. If he really made a move against Su Yi, he would most likely die without a doubt. After all, the dragon gods and the demon gods were on friendly terms. The two sides had more cooperation, and their conflicts had always been more restrained. Therefore, Sheng Ming did not stay there. Instead, he turned around and transformed into the body of the Tempest Void Dragon, heading toward the people of the Holy Land where Sheng Lu was. Sheng Ming and Sheng Lu met. "Aren't you going to ask me who I saw?" Sheng Ming looked at Sheng Lu with desire in his eyes. Unfortunately, Sheng Lu was quite cold to him. "What does it have to do with me?" "Sheng Lu, I see that you are interested in that Kang Shinmu." Sheng Ming's expression turned ugly. He had always been pursuing Sheng Lu. To him, Sheng Lu was a match made in heaven. Unfortunately, for some reason, Sheng Lu had always been indifferent to him. It was as if she had always treated him as a senior brother. In particular, Sheng Li's beautiful eyes were looking at Kang Shinmu in the distance, which made Sheng Ming even more displeased. He can defeat a demon at the 8th level of the Supreme God realm with his cultivation level of the 5th level. Naturally, I am interested in him. Sheng Lu pursed her lips and smiled, speaking matter-of-factly. "In my opinion, he probably used some kind of sacred item." Sheng Ming sneered. "He is Emperor Shi's disciple. It is normal for him to have some sacred items. You haven't seen him attack. How can you be so sure?" Sheng Lu smiled faintly. She had long been used to Sheng Ming's character. Because of this, she did not like Sheng Ming. This guy always felt that he was the best in the world and that no one was more talented than him. Therefore, when he saw other geniuses, he would suppress them to show off his own abilities. To Sheng Lu, Sheng Ming's arrogant behavior was simply digging his own grave. She felt that Sheng Ming had met a tough opponent at the banquet. But now, she did not think that Kang Shinmu would be a tough opponent. From her point of view, although Kang Shinmu was amazing, being able to defeat a level 8 Transcendent God Realm demonic being with a level 5 Transcendent God Realm cultivation. But he was definitely not a match for Sheng Ming. After all, Sheng Ming was already at the peak of the Transcendent God Realm. He had been at the 9th tier of the Transcendent God Realm for a long time. He had been in seclusion for a long time trying to break through to the Supreme Realm, but he had failed. She, Sheng Lu and Sheng Ming, were the strongest existences the Martial Dragon continent could contain. If an existence stronger than the two of them were to appear in the Martial Dragon continent, it would very likely destroy the barrier and cause the continent to collapse. This made Sheng Lu feel that he had to get busy again today to protect Kang Shinmu. All along, she had always protected the geniuses of the younger generation who were targeted by the sage. To her, those geniuses of the younger generation were not that bad. In fact, some of them were even more talented than Sheng Ming. However, due to being suppressed by Sage Ming, the cultivation process of many geniuses in the sacred grounds was not smooth. Sheng Lu saw all of this and was very clear that Sheng Ming was behind all of this, but he couldn't find any evidence. Otherwise, the elders of the sacred grounds would never allow Sheng Ming to do such a thing. At this moment, all the spectators suddenly exclaimed with shock. From the 3 devil chi rifts in the distance, waves of terrifying and turbulent devil chi surged out with a loud bang. What appeared outside the demonic chi cracks were 3 extremely powerful and violent demonic creatures. Berserk demonic creatures at the 9th tier of the Transcendent God Realm. Each of them was a powerful demonic creature that had reached the peak of the Transcendent God Realm. Even Sheng Lu and Sheng Ming had to treat their battle prowess extremely seriously. These are peak-level demonic creatures. The expressions of Sheng Lu and Sheng Ming, as well as the 8 dragon martial artists of their sacred grounds, changed drastically. This is bad. This is a super powerful existence that even we and the elders can only deal with at the same time. Sheng Li's expression changed slightly. Her pretty face turned a little pale, and she hurriedly wanted to transform into a dragon to help Kang Shinmu. In her opinion, Kang Shinmu was definitely no match for these 3 peak-level demonic creatures. However, just as she was about to move, Sheng Ming snorted coldly and transformed into a storm spirit void dragon, blocking in front of her. 3 demonic chi cracks, 3 peak-level demonic creatures. Xingming sneered, "Are you so impulsive that you're going to die? Who knows if there will be more demonic creatures coming out of those demonic chi cracks? I've already informed Master and the elders. They'll come to support soon. Before Master and the elders arrive, I won't let you take risks in private." Xinglu felt a little incredulous when she heard Xingming's words. Although this senior brother of his had hindered the cultivation of other geniuses in the past, he had never been as unreasonable as he was now. Now, Kang Xinmu was in danger. One had to know that Kang Xinmu was a super genius of the Dragon God clan's great world and was very famous. If Kang Xinmu died here, it would be a great loss to the entire Dragon God clan. However, for Xingming, it seemed that whether Kang Xinmu died or not had nothing to do with him. In fact, there was even a hint of schadenfreude in his eyes. "Xingming, in such a situation, not only are you not going to help, but you're also going to stop me?" Sheng Li's expression became very ugly. "I won't let you take risks." Sheng Ming's reason was very good, and he said calmly. He sneered secretly. He wanted to see Kang Xinmu killed now. He wanted to see what Sheng Li's expression would be when Kang Xinmu was killed. He really didn't expect that junior sister Sheng Lu, who had always been very harsh to him, would show such an interested expression to a junior Kang Xinmu that she had never seen before. "Sheng Ming, do you know why I've never liked you?" Sheng Lu finally couldn't stand it anymore. She snorted coldly and said, "You're already very talented, but every time you stop other disciples from cultivating, it's simply unreasonable. Today, you're even jealous of Kang Xinmu. I don't know what he did to make you want to kill him." Hearing Sheng Li's words, Sheng Ming laughed loudly. In his opinion, he didn't need Sheng Li's love at all. He firmly believed that he was the most talented person in the Dragon God clan, so for him, Sheng Lu was just one of the women he wanted. "Junior sister, why can't you understand that I'm doing this for your own good?" Chapter 55-68. Sheng Lu was exasperated, and her face was full of disappointment. She said, "I can't fight them alone, but if you work with me, we can still defeat those 3 demonic creatures." Sheng Ming was unmoved when he heard this. He said indifferently, "I won't take risks for someone I don't know. Similarly, I don't want you to take risks for someone you don't know." Sheng Lu had no choice. She really couldn't beat Sheng Ming now. If Sheng Ming wanted to stop her, she definitely wouldn't be able to get through. So, she could only look anxiously in the direction of the 3 demonic chi cracks. The image of Jiang Shenwu's pitch-black divine dragon was reflected in her beautiful eyes. Very quickly, he was surrounded by the 3 demonic beasts. It was too late. Sheng Lu was in despair. She felt that she couldn't save Kang Xinmu even if she wanted to. Now, I can only hope that Kang Xinmu can have some World Saint items to break out of the encirclement. She never thought that Kang Xinmu could kill those 3 supreme divine-level demonic creatures, because the difference in combat strength between the 2 sides was too great. As for World Saint items, she suspected that if Kang Xinmu used them to deal with those 3 demonic creatures, would it exceed the limit of power that the Dragon Martial Continent could withstand? So she was very worried. In contrast to her worry, Sheng Ming, who was next to her, sneered. He looked at Kang Xinmu and thought to himself, "I want to see how you die this time." He didn't expect Kang Xinmu to be killed just like that. After all, he was the personal disciple of Emperor Shi. He felt that Kang Xinmu must have a trump card. But that trump card must be a World Saint item, with power comparable to a supreme level. But that level of power was definitely not something that Kang Xinmu could control. Once he used it, it might exceed the limit that the Dragon Martial Continent could withstand, so, in Sheng Ming's opinion, Kang Xinmu would never use a World Saint item. After all, the Dragon Martial Continent was Kang Xinmu's hometown. How could he take the risk of destroying his hometown? Soon. Everyone nervously looked at the 3 demonic chi cracks. Perhaps only Sui, Yu Tianchang, and the other two women who were a little further away were not worried about the current situation at all. On the contrary, the four women found it funny to see Xinglu, Xingming, and the others behaving like that. Brother Jiang has long been unafraid of this level of demonic creatures, yet they are still so worried. How ridiculous. Especially that Xingming. Does he really think that he's that amazing? That he's that strong? In front of Shenwu, I'm afraid this Xingming won't be a match for him. The four girls discussed among themselves, and Kang Xinmu's black dragon body was reflected in their eyes. For them, Kang Xinmu was the one they were most concerned about right now. And Kang Xinmu did not disappoint them. Just as the three peak stage supreme gods surrounded him, his devouring power erupted. 33 Heavens Divine Feather, activate. At this moment, the ninefold extreme destructive sky might dragon soul burst forth, and 9 black dragon souls appeared in the surrounding sky. Accompanied by the dragon's roar, demonic chi surged in all directions. Almost at the same time, 3 devouring dragon souls' breaths landed on the 3 peak stage supreme gods. The 3 demonic creatures did not have any room to struggle at all. It only took an instant for them to turn into ashes. This scene stunned Shenglu, Shengming, and the others. Shengming had originally planned to see the scene of Kang Xinmu being suppressed by the demonic creatures, and it was very likely that he would be killed on the spot. But unexpectedly, the result was the complete opposite. What's going on? Shengming did not expect to see such a scene at all. Moreover, judging from the situation just now, Kang Xinmu did not use a heaven and earth holy item. This meant that Kang Xinmu had killed the 3 peak stage supreme gods purely with his own strength. Wasn't this too terrifying? One had to know that even Xingming himself could not be as straightforward as Kang Xinmu. In fact, if he were to be surrounded by 3 peak stage supreme gods, he would need to deal with them for a long time before he could kill them one by one. In the end, Kang Xinmu killed the 3 demonic creatures with just one move of the super divine dragon martial skill. How could Xingming not be shocked? As for Shenglu, a look of surprise appeared on her beautiful face. This was simply too surprising. He's too strong. She had originally thought that Kang Xinmu was weaker than her. After all, she was capable of defeating 3 supreme god tier 8 demonic beasts. But now it seemed like Kang Xinmu was completely stronger than her. After all, if it were her, she would definitely not be able to kill the 3 peak stage supreme gods like Kang Xinmu did. And Kang Xinmu's strength had left an extremely deep impression in her heart. He's only a peak stage supreme god. He actually has such combat prowess? Sheng Li's beautiful eyes became more and more interested in Kang Xinmu. She felt that there must be a secret on Kang Xinmu's body. This kind of secret was indeed very attractive to her. When Xingming saw the look in Sheng Li's eyes, he was even more furious. However, there was nothing he could do at the moment. It was already very overboard not to help Kang Xinmu. If it was even more overboard, it would be to besiege Kang Xinmu with the demonic creatures. Xingming would not do such a thing. If he did not help, even if someone found out, they would not be able to say anything. After all, he was also thinking about his own safety. However, if he participated in besieging Kang Xinmu, the nature would change. After that, the 5 extremes mysterious ice holy land would not let him off at all. He, a peak stage supreme god, could not afford to offend the entire 5 extremes mysterious ice holy land. In fact, it was very likely that there would be experts from other holy lands who would befriend Kang Xinmu. That would be even more uncomfortable for him, therefore, in short, he could not do anything to Kang Xinmu now. Moreover, Shengming was a little afraid now. He was afraid that if he really participated in besieging Kang Xinmu, would he be killed by Kang Xinmu like the 3 peak stage supreme god demonic creatures? Now it seemed that it was very likely. Kang Xinmu's battle prowess far exceeded his expectations. Although Xingming also had a heaven and earth sacred grade, his heaven and earth sacred grade did not have many layers of seals unlocked. To him, unlocking the seals of a heaven and earth sacred grade required too many cultivation resources. Even if he tried very hard, he could not unlock too many layers. This was similar to Kang Xinmu. It was extremely difficult to unlock more layers of seals in Kang Xinmu's starry sky small world. Moreover, he could not hand it over to others. After all, this was his secret. Look at that man's defeated expression. It's so funny. In the distance, Sui looked at Xingming's shocked and defeated expression and could not help but laugh. To her, whoever dared to harm Kang Xinmu was a bad person. Chapter 55-69. After all, Xingming was already a peak supreme god existence. Although he was far away, he could still sense the situation of Sui and the other girls in the distance. At this moment, his face could not help but darken. He had actually been mocked by the little princess of the demon god clan. He did not have a good impression of the demon god clan to begin with, and now he hated them even more. But he did not dare to do anything now. After all, there were many people present. Otherwise, he would not have minded attacking Sui. As for the sacred land where Shenglu and Xingming were, the 8 transcending divine dragon martialists all sucked in a breath of cold air. They watched the scene of Kang Xinmu killing 3 peak supreme god demonic creatures by himself, and they could not believe it. They all looked a little incredulous. After all, Kang Xinmu was the same as some of them. He was only at the 5th tier of the supreme god realm, but he could actually defeat the peak supreme god demonic creatures. How could they not be shocked? This child is too terrifying. No wonder Emperor Shi took a fancy to him and accepted him as a personal disciple. Not only did Emperor Shi take a fancy to him, but even the demon god clan has great trust in him. That's right. The Su royal family even brought the little princess over. It's clear that they trust him very much. Everyone was talking about it. They had incomparable respect for Kang Xinmu. And all of this made Xingming feel even more uncomfortable. But there was nothing he could do. Originally, he had planned to leave them in the lurch, but now he realized that Kang Xinmu was stronger than him. Who could stand such a feeling? In that case, this child does not need our help. I'll tell Master Zhang and the others not to come. Xingming said with a cold laugh. Senior? Hearing this, Shenglu immediately frowned. Why are you doing this? Now that the 3 demonic vortexes are all gathered together, we need Master Zhang and the others to come together in order to get rid of them. Even if Master Zhang and the others come together, it will take a long time to get rid of the demonic vortexes. Why do you say that you don't need help? This time, she was really angry. Originally, Xingming did not intend to help Kang Xinmu for personal reasons. But now, Xingming actually told Zhang Laozuan and the others not to come over. Didn't that mean that they were going to give up on the 3 demon vortexes? If that was the case, the situation would become very bad, because if these 3 devil chi vortexes continued to exist, there would be powerful monsters emerging from them. At that time, there would be more and more demonic creatures. Even if they joined forces with the elders, it would be very difficult to fight them. After all, if there were too many demonic creatures, they would also be tired. There was a limit to their strength. How could it be that easy to stop the endless stream of demonic creatures? Dealing with the 3 demon vortexes was not a personal matter. It concerned the entire dragon martial continent, and even the entire dragon god clan. This caused Shenglu to have an extremely bad impression of his senior brother, Xingming. At first, she just didn't have a good impression of him. But now, he was a little disgusted. This person, because of his personal jealousy, didn't even care about the overall situation. This was too much. He was simply a despicable person. Even the 8 dragon warriors from their holy land felt that Xingming's decision was inconceivable. Each and every one of them had a strange expression on their faces. As for Xingming's current situation, they all guessed that this senior brother was extremely jealous of Kang Xinmu, which led to him not wanting to help Kang Xinmu. Even if it caused the 3 demon chi cracks to have a major impact on the entire dragon martial continent, it seemed to be completely insignificant to Xingming. This senior brother was really a little too disgusting. But now, they didn't dare to say anything. After all, Xingming was definitely the strongest among them. He could even challenge Shenglu and all 8 of them. After all, the 8 of them basically had no combat power, especially in front of Xingming. They wouldn't even be able to withstand one move. How could they dare to say anything? Moreover, Shenglu had the same opinion as them. Even Xingli's words were useless, let alone them. If they spoke up to dissuade Xingming, they would definitely be the unlucky ones. Xingming saw the look in everyone's eyes and immediately snorted coldly. He said faintly, "Do you think that the elders of our holy land have nothing else to do? There are still demon cheat cracks in other places that need their help to clean up. So these 3 demon chi cracks, since that Kang Xinmu thinks he can deal with them, then let him handle them. If he can't handle them well, then it will be his responsibility. Of course, if he doesn't have the confidence, he will naturally inform the elders of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land to come and help. Do you really think that I want to see him die because of jealousy?" When these words were said, everyone was a little depressed. It sounded like that was the case, but at this point, who didn't know what Xingming was thinking? We can only let the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land handle it. Shenglu sighed. She really didn't have much persuasion power to convince her master and the elders of the holy land. To the storm spirit illusion holy land, Xingming was the most talented disciple, and he would always enjoy the most privileges and cultivation resources in the holy land. Even she, Shenglu, although she didn't have as many resources as Xingming, her cultivation was still very close. But in the eyes of the elders, Shengli's status was far from Xingming's. Since Xingming told the elders not to come, then most likely the elders had already decided not to come. It was useless for her, Shenglu, to say anything more. It wasn't that she didn't want to try, but similar things had happened many times in the Storm Spirit Illusion Holy Land, and she had no way to change anything. This was because she didn't have the inherited bloodline of the Storm Spirit Illusion Dragon, so in terms of status, she was much worse than Xingming. Of course, in reality, whether it was in terms of cultivation realm or cultivation talent, she wasn't worse than Xingming. It was just that the elders were biased towards Xingming. What could she do? Very quickly. They all looked nervously in the direction of the 3 demonic cracks, and then waited for Kang Xinmu to call the elders over. In their eyes, the only path that Kang Xinmu could take now was to call the elders of the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy land over. But, at this moment, they all discovered something to their shock. The jet-black divine dragon that Jiang Shenwu had transformed into flew rapidly towards one of the demonic aura cracks. Waves of jet-black energy enveloped the demonic aura crack from all over his body. It directly began to devour. Chapter 55-70. No one had expected Kang Xinmu to be able to deal with the demonic chi crack. What ability is this? Xingming's face trembled. He widened his eyes. He couldn't imagine how Kang Xinmu could make the demonic chi crack dissipate so quickly. He had seen the elders of his holy land working together to eliminate this kind of demonic chi crack. Without a doubt, the longer the demonic chi crack existed, the more difficult it would be to get rid of it. For example, even if many elders worked together, it would take at least a few days to get rid of one of the 3 demonic chi cracks. Because of this, the Dragon Martial Continent felt that they didn't have enough manpower. Because clearing a single demonic chi crack required many top-notch experts to deal with it. There were so many demonic chi cracks in the entire dragon martial continent, and almost all the top-notch experts were held back by a certain demonic chi crack, unable to support other places. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been so many disciples of the Holy Land encountering danger in the dragon martial continent. There really weren't enough top-notch experts. Therefore, Sheng Ming and Sheng Lu were very clear about the difficulty of clearing the demonic chi crack. At their level, there needed to be at least 7 or 8 people together, and at least 3 pinnacle supreme god experts to protect them. Once a demonic creature emerged from the demonic chi crack, at least 3 top-notch experts would be needed to eliminate it. The others were focused on clearing the demonic chi crack. Even with such a lineup of more than 10 people, it would take at least a few days to successfully clear a demonic chi crack. And now, the scene in front of them had completely exceeded their expectations. They had never even dreamed that Jiang Shenwu, who was merely a 5th-tier transcendent god, would be able to do something that so many peak transcendent god elders could not do. In a short period of time, half of the demonic chi crack that Kang Shinmu had devoured had dissipated. Based on the current situation, Kang Shinmu would be able to completely clear the demonic chi crack in less than 2 hours. What kind of speed was this? A single person was able to accomplish something that more than a dozen elder-level powerhouses couldn't do. If an elder-level powerhouse wanted to clear a demonic chi rift in 2 hours, it would take at least hundreds of people. Because of this, Kang Shinmu's actions at this moment were so shocking. Apart from Sheng Ming and Sheng Lu, the other 8 dragon martialists also had looks of disbelief on their faces. Who would have thought that Kang Shinmu would actually be able to do such a thing? He was actually able to devour the demonic chi and get rid of it? Wasn't this too terrifying? Their faces were filled with astonishment, and their hearts were filled with shock. Just as they were observing. In the other 2 devil chi cracks, 2 more peak supreme god-level monsters suddenly emerged. At the same time, there were many ordinary monsters surrounding them. A total of over 100 monsters actually surged out at this moment. At the same time, under everyone's gaze, Kang Shinmu did not panic at all. Extreme Destruction Heavenly Might Dragon Soul. First, he used the Super Divine Dragon Martial Technique, which was released under the effect of the 33 Heavenly Divine Feathers. 9 Heavenly Destructive Dragon Soul. This transcendent dragon martial skill directly swept up to the 2 peak-level transcendent gods, shattering their terrifying and surging devil chi bodies. Immediately after, there was another 1000 directional break, which came from the chaotic heaven devouring dragon sky devouring dragon martial technique. In an instant, 10 devouring vortexes formed in the field. With the support of Kang Shinmu's formless Chen Xing, the 10 devouring vortexes instantly swept all the surrounding monsters in. Just a moment later, the monsters that emerged from the 2 demonic chi cracks were actually killed by Kang Shinmu just like that. In the field, the demonic chi rippled and drifted towards the surroundings. Waves of devouring power condensed from Kang Shinmu's black dragon body and swept towards the demonic chi cracks. They could feel it. There seemed to be monsters trying to rush out of the demonic chi crack that Kang Shinmu was devouring. Unfortunately, the entire demonic chi crack was already riddled with holes under Kang Shinmu's devouring. The spatial power formation within it had completely lost its integrity. In the end, no monsters could rush out of the demonic chi crack. Only some scattered demonic chi was continuously released from the demonic chi crack, but it could not form any monsters, let alone pose any threat to Kang Shinmu. Devour. Kang Shinmu's devouring power directly enveloped the broken demonic chi crack. It was just as Sheng Lu and the others had expected. In less than an hour, the demonic chi crack was basically enveloped by Kang Shinmu's devouring power and then completely destroyed. The entire demonic chi crack was devoured by Kang Shinmu and turned into his own nutrients. Whether it was his understanding of the spatial attribute void force or the devouring power, they had further improved his strength. Of course, just devouring one demonic qi crack did not increase Kong Shinmu's strength by much. Immediately after, Kong Shinmu turned to face the other two demonic qi cracks that were emitting surging demonic qi. The devouring power swept out at the same time and surged towards the two demonic qi cracks. He actually wanted to devour these two demonic qi cracks at the same time. This shocking scene caused the expressions of Shenglu, Shengming, and the others in the distance to change drastically. They had not expected Kong Shinmu to do such a shocking thing. Clearing two demonic qi cracks at the same time? This was simply unheard of. Even the elders of the sacred grounds at the peak of the supreme god level would not dare to do such a thing. Even if they joined forces, it would be impossible. Needless to say, Kong Shinmu was alone. However, just now, Kong Shinmu alone had cleared one demonic qi crack in just an hour. From this, it could be seen that no matter how strong Kong Shinmu's combat strength was, at least in terms of clearing demonic qi cracks, Kong Shinmu's speed was much faster than anyone else's. Now, it seemed reasonable for him to want to clear two demonic qi cracks at the same time. However, such an action was really unimaginable. At least to Shenglu and Shengming, Kong Shinmu's actions had already shocked them greatly. It seems that no matter how highly I look at Kong Shinmu, he will always be stronger than I expected. Sheng Li's beautiful eyes were already filled with shock. Chapter 55-71. Sheng Ming was about to explode with anger. But he had no choice. He couldn't stop Kong Shinmu from cleaning up the demonic qi cracks, could he? If he did, he would become the sinner of the entire dragon gods. He couldn't be that stupid. He looked at Kong Shinmu's pitch-black divine dragon body, which was in the middle of the two demonic qi cracks. His entire body exuded an incomparably dense pitch-black talent power that enveloped the two demonic qi cracks. Sheng Ming suddenly thought of something. Junior sister Shenglu, Kong Shinmu seems to have an unusual restraining effect on the demonic qi cracks. Sheng Ming narrowed his eyes and said, I suspect that the appearance of the demonic qi cracks in the dragon martial continent has a lot to do with him. Don't talk nonsense. Sheng Li's face darkened, and she hurriedly stopped him. How can this be called nonsense? Sheng Ming guessed with a smile, it's not like you don't know that it's not that easy for the elders of our holy land to clean up these demonic qi cracks. It might even take a few days to do so. And this Kong Shinmu is clearly only at the 5th level of the Supreme Divinity realm, but he can clean up the demonic qi cracks so quickly. Don't you think it's strange? Shenglu shook her head when she heard this. She said coldly, the dragon martial continent is Kong Shinmu's hometown. How could he deliberately cause these demonic qi cracks to harm the dragon martial continent? Moreover, when this happened, Kong Shinmu wasn't in the dragon martial continent. He wasn't even in the dragon god's great world, but in the demon god's great world. She had absolute trust in Kong Shinmu. Not to mention why Kong Shinmu would do this, just whether he had the ability to do so was enough to make people doubt. Ha ha ha. Sheng Ming laughed and said, have you ever thought about why this Kong Shinmu is so talented? Why is he able to win repeatedly in battle, and even defeat stronger opponents? No one knows what his talent power is. We only know that it's related to devouring. And the talent power of devouring is rare in our dragon god clan. Every time he attacks, every time he fights others, he displays a completely different kind of suppressive power. Clearly, there's a problem with his power. Sheng Ming spoke with certainty, as if he had already confirmed that there was a problem with Kong Shinmu's strength. To him, he was unhappy with Kong Shinmu. He wanted to see Kong Shinmu fail and be punished. That was the only way he could get his hands on it. When Shenglu heard his words, the disappointment in her beautiful eyes deepened. She had never imagined that Sheng Ming would say such a thing in order to ostracize Kong Shinmu. These words were completely slanderous. Because up until now, what Xingming had said had always been just a guess, without any evidence. If there was no evidence, what else could it be other than slander? I heard that Kang Xinmu had gone to various ancient relics to explore. Even Emperor Shi's heaven and earth holy item was brought out by Kang Xinmu. Shenglu said indifferently, it's not surprising that he obtained some great power in the ancient relics. Do you want him to completely display his power in front of you to let you know? Don't go too far. When he heard Sheng Li's words, Shengming knew that his junior sister was determined to stand on Kang Xinmu's side. So he smiled faintly and said, "It's okay. It doesn't matter if you believe me or not. As long as the elders believe me, it's enough." After saying this, he turned and left the place. Obviously, he was going to find the elders of their holy land. When Shenglu saw this, she immediately gritted her teeth and transformed into a snow-white dragon of holy light, following Shengming. She would never let Shengming spout nonsense in front of the elders. At the very least, she had to stop Shengming from saying some unimaginable things to frame Kang Xinmu. Judging from the current situation, as long as he could deal with Kang Xinmu, Shengming would do anything. No matter what, he could do anything. So what if it was just framing Kang Xinmu? Kang Xinmu ignored the people around him. He did not know what Shenglu and Shengming were arguing about, nor did he know that their dispute was actually related to him. He was devouring the 2 devil chi rifts with all his might and turning the power in the devil chi rifts into his own purest power. He could store it to improve his cultivation. However, he was not in a hurry. Even if he devoured all 3 devil chi rifts, it would not be enough for him to break through to the next level. He was now at the 5th level of the Supreme God realm. It would not be easy to break through to the next level. Therefore, Kang Xinmu was not in a hurry. Anyway, judging from the current situation in the Dragon Martial Continent, there was nothing that he could not solve. Regardless of how many devil chi rifts there were in the 9th level of the Supreme God realm, they would not be able to escape the fate of being devoured. The current Kang Xinmu devoured everything wherever he went. Everything would become his power and fuse into his body. He realized that when he split the devouring power between the 2 devil chi rifts, the speed at which he devoured them was undoubtedly much slower. However, the overall time was faster. Moreover, when he devoured 2 devil chi rifts at the same time, no devil would emerge from the 2 devil chi rifts to avoid being disturbed. Once he was disturbed, the devouring power would be dispersed, and the speed at which he devoured the devil chi rifts would naturally decrease. In the current situation, the most important thing for Kang Xinmu was to devour the devil chi rifts. As long as he dealt with all the devil chi rifts, the crisis of the Dragon Martial Continent would naturally be resolved. At present, the speed at which Kang Xinmu devoured the devil chi rifts was still faster than the speed at which the devil chi rifts were born. After all, the speed at which he devoured the devil chi rifts was extremely fast. If the speed at which the devil chi rifts were born was faster than his devouring speed, then the others would not be able to hold on for so long before he returned. At this moment, Kang Xinmu was in the process of devouring the devil chi rifts. He found that one of Shenglu and Shengming, who had just left, had returned. It was Shengming. The holy light dragon of life had not returned, and he did not know where it had gone. Then, Shengming took away the 8 dragon martial artists from the Holy Land. After that, the scene was relatively quiet. Kang Xinmu devoured the devil chi rifts in peace and did not pay attention to anything else around him. Moreover, he did not think that anything would happen around him. At this moment, Sui, who had been observing the situation, suddenly felt that something was wrong. She could not help but say to Yu Tianchang and the other 2 women, "Sisters, I have a feeling that Shengming wants to play tricks in the dark." Furthermore, after Sister Shengla left with Shengming, she never appeared again. Could something have happened to her?